and I appreciate you. I remember.
No.
When you carry out, some things are out of your control. But with Domino's new carry-out insurance, we'll replace your pizza if it gets ruined after you leave the store. Carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 every day.
You went, you served, and forged the relationships that only being baptized in the fire of combat can develop. At FallInVeteran.com, we understand the unique bond that veterans share. That's why we've created a platform where you can connect, share experiences, and build lifelong friendships with fellow veterans. Signing up is easy. Simply visit www.fall-in-veteran.com and create your profile. Customize it to reflect your military service, interests, and hobbies. FallInVeteran.com is more than just an online community. It's a support network where you can find resources, advice, and encouragement from those who understand what you've been through. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or simply a place to share your stories, FallInVeteran.com has it all. Join thousands of veterans who have already found their tribe and start connecting today. FallInVeteran.com. Come join us and experience the power of community. Sign up now at www.fall-in-veteran.com.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. As we are getting ready to tackle the Tricky Triangle. Just a couple weeks ago, we saw this race was supposed to take place, but of course, iRacing had a DDoS attack, so we have rescheduled the Pocono race for tonight. The Domino's 250 here at the Tricky Triangle Pocono Raceway, one of my favorite racetracks. This place is so much fun. It is tricky, that is for sure. Every corner at this place is different than the last one. We have the longest straightaway in NASCAR, and of course, my name is Brian Britt, though, and I do have a new commentator joining me tonight, Joe LaCastro. How are you doing tonight, Joe?
Hey there, Brian. I'm doing fantastic. It's really nice to be here. Glad to be calling another lovely race at probably one of the weirdest looking and yet most fun to call and probably drive, I'd say, tracks on the NASCAR circuit right now. I love me some Pocono.
Yeah, it is a ton of fun. Of course, I do want to introduce as well our producer, Kobe Jordan, down behind the cameras. He's going to be bringing all the action to our fans out there. We appreciate everybody out there tuning in for sure to the Domino's 250. This is going to be an interesting one. Of course, last week we saw a thrilling race at the Chicago Street Course. That was another one where we kind of had to reschedule it. Of course, NASCAR has taken 2 weeks off, and that has given us some opportunities to run some races that we were not able to run earlier in the season. And here we are at Pocono. I mean, just a few weeks ago, the officials were at this track. Have these guys been able to make adjustments to their race cars? Have they been able to kind of iron them out and make them even better than they were during the officials? I think we're getting ready to find out here tonight. But let's look at the details of tonight's race. Of course, 100 laps on the docket here tonight. Stages are going to be 20. Of course, that's when stage 1 is going to end at about 20 to 21. Stage 2 is going to end 45 going to 46. Of course, the race is going to end on lap 101. 6 sets of tires altogether, 5 actually down in the pits. Fuel window is going to be 38 laps, so that means that last stage, they will not be able to make that unless they have a green flag pit stop, or should we say maybe an impromptu caution could come out. But you know these ISCA guys, they are very, very clean and green. Joe, you're getting ready to find that out. I mean, this is some of the best racing, I think, on the service. Very, very thrilling. What have you seen so far in practice?
Well, so far in practice, I've been just trying to get up with some of the names that I recognize a little bit as they've been coming across here. But if you say it's going to be lean and green, that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I'm the kind of guy who likes a race that has a little bit of meat to it with some crashing, but I also really like to see good racing. The one thing I'm looking for here, though, coming out of turn 2, you can sometimes just smack that wall. If you are flying particularly fast, that turn is specifically based off of a turn in Indianapolis known as the tunnel turn. And if you take that a little bit too quickly, you can learn a lesson. And I'm looking for that in practice. I'm looking for people to try to find that edge and really fly through some of the later turns in this track and find where they can do it safely and like where that line is. That's what I'm looking for right now.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Turn 2 is very difficult to pass through as well. So, I mean, that kind of feeds into what you were just talking about, that being a dangerous corner. You really don't want to be going through there side by side. But if you know how to take turn 2 correctly, you can use that as a tool kind of in your bag to be able to make passes and be able to set up people for runs. Turn 3 is going to be really, really important. That, of course, leads to what I was talking about before about the longest straightaway in NASCAR. You kind of mentioned that before the broadcast began, brought that back to my memory. But turn 3, really, that makes that turn, I think, probably the most important turn on the racetrack. Because if you are exiting turn 3 improperly, you're going to be slowing yourself down for that long straightaway.
Yeah, whoever gets the run off at 3, that's going to answer a lot of questions about what happens at the start-finish line. So look, this is the kind of track where you can see those photo finishes happen. You can see second place very quickly become first place with a very good run off of 3. And that kind of excitement is what keeps bringing me back to this track over and over again when I think of what are some of my favorite tracks to watch on iRacing, what are some of my favorites to see drivers pick apart a little bit. There's almost always a fun finish here at Pocono.
And we're watching some guys already in the midst of qualifying. I think 4 of Brian Johnson's out there on the racetrack. You can see these guys are trying to warm the tires up before they actually get going. That's very, very important to kind of get these tires up to proper temperature. That way they can grip the best that they possibly can before you can actually turn that really, 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 really hot lap. It's very easy to make a mistake here in qualifying as well. I mean, you talk about turn 2. That's another turn that's really, I think, important in qualifying. If you do not, you could very easily overcook it going through turn 2 and smack the wall and invalidate your lap time for qualifying. A lot of different thought processes on the turn 3. I'm seeing some guys kind of going up on the higher side. While we do have a little bit of time left in qualifying, let's look at the points coming into tonight's race. Of course, looking at that, we have Brandon Pasalacqua, who has been the most consistent driver so far this season. I mean, he has just been nailing top 5 after top 5 after top 5. Of course, he doesn't have the most wins, but he does have 2 wins, and he's 61 points over Matt DeCiani. Matt DeCiani almost was able to possibly get a victory last week at Chicago Street Course, but unfortunately did not work out for him. Paul Hill was able to get that victory. Brandon Pasalacqua was able to get, I do believe, a top 3 last week as well at the road course. Patrick Gitter, who I've not seen actually show up in the session yet, is in 3rd. He's our reigning champion right now. Does he show up? Does he put in some points here tonight at Pocono? That's going to be a big question. Derek Heitman, he's been very fast so far in practice. I think he was one of the fastest in practice. He sits 5th in the points. Randy Mullins is in 6th. Josh Schaffner, very good finish last week. 3rd place, I do believe, at the street course. He's in 7th. Tim Wortman Jr., he has been getting faster and faster. Every week we've been watching him. He's in 8th. Abner Acosta in 9th. And, of course, Kenny Powell rounds out the top 10. That's a look at the points right now. Definitely expecting that points picture to possibly change after tonight's race, as we're seeing lap time starting to come in. At the moment, Josh Schaffner has the pole with a 53.683. And let's see if he's able to hold on to it. See, of course, the 42, Jose Acosta out there as well. See him kind of going through. Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry. Keep talking right
No, it's okay. I'm just naming people that I saw go by. We saw Pasalaco going by. He's sitting in 2nd place now.
That's a good qualifying effort from the Paradigm guys. So while we're waiting for qualifying to end, I think now would be a great time. We'll go ahead and take a step away, play our national anthem, and we'll be right back with the starting grid here in the ISCA.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines!
No. When you carry out, some things are out of your control. But with Domino's new carryout insurance, we'll replace your pizza if it gets ruined after you leave the store. Carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 every day.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. It does look like I think we have the grid set here. We got some people that are still not made it to the grid yet. Of course, we have a little bit of time, I do believe, before we actually see these guys start to roll. But Derek Heitman right now at the top of the board. He's going to be qualified on the pole with a 53.541, which is a 10th faster than the next quickest driver. That is insanely impressive right there. Of course, Jason Maines, he's going to be in that second place position. Brian Johnson is going to be starting in third. Josh Schaffner starts in fourth place. Brandon Passalacqua in fifth. Alexander Carr starts in sixth. Greg Wachinski is going to be qualified in that seventh place position. Eighth place, Tim Wortman Jr. Ninth, glad to see Jeffrey Souza in the 96. He's out here. Randy Mullins rounds out the top 10.
Going into the 11th place, you got Jose Acosta. 12th, Mark Sanchez. 13th, that's going to be Dylan Banks. 14th, Jay Hone. Is that how I pronounce that? I want to make sure I get that correct.
Yeah.
15th would be Nick King. 16th, Matthew Cisna. 17th, Randy Drumhiller. 18th, Kenny Powell. 19th, Clayton Hoffman. And 20th, Paul Olson.
21st going to be Greg Carr. 23rd, John Bender. 23rd is Ryan Huff. So that is 23 cars going to be set to grid here tonight. So I think we're still waiting on a couple drivers to get to the grid. Of course, a lot of times we have to wait for the national anthem to play for the drivers as well. It doesn't happen at the exact same time. as our broadcast. So we have to wait just a few more moments, I do believe, before these guys actually have to get to the grid. I know a lot of guys use this precious time to really make last-second adjustments, kind of based on what qualifying looked like, what practice looked like. Of course, the conditions of the racetrack are incredibly important. In fact, let's take a look and see what are the conditions right now. Let's see what does the heat look like. I know a couple weeks ago, whenever I raced in the officials, the temperature of the track and the usage, the rubber that was laid on the track, had a huge impact on how the performance of the race cars were. Of course, the air temp right now 73 degrees Fahrenheit. Track temp is 97 degrees at this 2.5 mile racetrack in Long Pond. Looking at the wind, though, wind is actually kind of high, about 15 mile an hour. Going to the west, that could be a big deal. This is one of those tracks where I think you're very vulnerable to the wind actually impacting the handling of the race car. Just considering, it's a 2.5 mile track. That's a big area, and one corner could have vastly different handling based on the wind.
Now, do you know, based on the orientation of the track, which way the west would be compared to the start-finish line?
Too much. No.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I have no idea.
I'm trying to figure it out.
Well,
That's
you can get on that.
All right. Let me Google Earth it. I have the ability here.
Yeah.
That is
definitely.
I'll figure it out.
We could actually know which corner that's going to affect the worst. I mean, because of course that wind is going to the west.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so the racetrack is oriented with the number 2 turn being on the north side, but it's at kind of a tilt. So when you come around 3 and you're going down 3 across the start finish line, you're going from the northwest to the southeast.
Okay.
So it's at a bit of a tilt from what you see it at.
I think that's where that's going to impact it in kind of turn 3 area.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be the longest straightaway is where the wind is going to probably have the most effect, because that's where the cars are just going to be they're going to have their longest, flattest side potentially into the wind. But if the wind is blowing to the west, then it's going to be blowing right into the nose of the car. So there could be a lot going on there. If anybody's taking any damage, that could affect the way the car handles at that point, especially, or if the simulation's really cranked up, dirty air and the tunnels being created by it could really be drastically affected by strong gusts of wind going directly to the west there.
For sure. No, I think that's definitely interesting. I think that is going to make, we talk about turn 3 being incredibly, incredibly important. Well, I think that makes it even more important to make sure your car is set up for turn 3 with the, that wind. I'm wondering if that wind was kind of like that during practice, so these guys could get some chances to make adjustments to the race cars based on that. Because, I mean, you see these setup shops and things like that. They do a fantastic job. I mean, most of the shops that I know of do a really good job of setting up these cars, but depending on the conditions of the racetrack, it kind of does help to have some know-how yourself when it comes to making adjustments to the race car based on the conditions. Because, I mean, if you kind of just load in a setup that works in maybe another track condition, it might not work as well when that wind is kind of coming at you out of turn 3. So that's something we're going to have to keep in mind. And that is also going to give some drivers, an advantage if you do have that kind of technical know-how. I know like a driver like Brian Johnson, he's good at adjusting on his race car. I know Clayton Hoffman, who's starting deep in the field, he is the builder for a setup shop, Nitro. So we know he knows what he's doing when it comes to adjusting on a race car. Those are the guys I think that are going to shine when it comes to kind of being able to improvise on this racetrack.
Well, let's see if any of them paid attention to the wind. If the wind is strong enough out of 3, they would have noticed that it might have pushed them up a little closer to the wall than their muscle memory might have made them used to, potentially, if that was hitting strong enough there. Now we've got cars on the track, so the time for adjustment is just about over, I'd say.
It is over. Yeah, I mean, they pretty much have already had the opportunity to make adjustments, and now the next opportunity they'll have for an adjustment, if they have a caution or if possibly we see or at the end of stage 1. That'll be a good opportunity. I don't think, even if we had a caution, I don't think we would see a whole lot of takers on pit road. Fall off has not been tremendous around this racetrack. I know in years past, you'd be at Pocono, you would turn one lap and probably want to come down for tires because the fall off was just so much. But then this next gen it's not the case. But we'll see exactly what these guys look like. That's the pace car getting ready to enter turn number 3. We're getting ready to get this race underway here at Pocono Raceway, the Tricky Triangle. I'm excited. I cannot wait to see these horses start to fly out here around this racetrack, especially getting to call the race with my good buddy Joe. I've only called one race with him before, but I'm excited for this second one. But here we go. Pace car going to be taking that left turn. There he goes down pit road as we're going to have to wait until we get to the Geico restart zone. There it is. Green flag is out as Derek Heitman up through the gears. But what a start there from Jason Maines. Of course, Jason Maines, who was in the 45. Cosmetically, though, he is in the 1 machine. So keep an eye out for the 1. That's Jason Maines. We'll be, of course, talking about him being the 45. As you can see, the 4, Brian Johnson, almost pushing Derek Heitman into turn 1.
Absolutely. Not a huge launch for Heitman there. And now he falls back a little bit.
The 3 of Nick King loses it. And it stays green. I think he barely avoided careening into the inside wall. As we're going to take a look and see exactly what happened. Look at how close he got to hitting the inside wall. What happened here? I think he just got loose on cold tire.
It looks like it might have just been some hard driving. Here we go into the turn. Well, he might have gotten spooked a little bit by that car falling back, but no, he just overdrove it.
Yeah, and I think he got, like you said, he got spooked, was probably trying to take advantage of that, car. I think that was Randy Mullins who lost it there. But of course,
I saw someone falling out to the outside there earlier on. I didn't know if that was Nick King. I think a little later it was when King fell out.
That was definitely a scary ordeal there for King. Glad he didn't hit the wall as hard as he could have. He did touch the inside wall, but he could have hit it a whole lot harder. As we're watching the battle, I do believe further back, I think that's the 70 of Dylan Banks. He's worked his way up into the 11th place position. I think we see Mark Sanchez in the midst of a battle with Jay Holm, who's in that Miller Lite car in the 19. Jay Holm looks like he's going to make that pass up to 12th now.
They got it too wide right now on the inside. Mark Sanchez is falling back a little bit. Clayton Hoffman taking position. Still too wide, Sanchez back there. Most of the too wide action looks like it's toward the middle of the pack, around the 13-12 position. Up front, things are running rather smoothly.
Yeah, a lot of these guys just trying desperately to get every position they can. You see a big push there to the back end of Mark Sanchez. I do believe that is Matthew Cisna, I think, giving the push there to Sanchez. And it looks like they're going to possibly make that pass. I like that Joey Logano paint scheme there. I think Cisna's running as he's trying to work on Kenny Powell. The top side is really good in 1 and 2. Surprisingly, a lot of times people think you're supposed to run the bottom at this place, and that is a good line, but you really want to be able to arc the corner and get the momentum, and that top side allows you to do that in turn 1. You can see Matthew Cisna was able to successfully get that pass completed. We were talking about Clayton Hoffman. Hoffman started, I do believe, back in like 20th or something like that. He's now up to 12th. He is a rocket ship driving to the front right now.
Love to watch Clayton Hoffman drive. He's the hardest charger right now in the top 15, up 7 places to 12th. You're not wrong. He's been making up places left and right, and it's going to be something to watch him as he continues to work his way up the ladder rung by rung. Up here at the front, you were just talking about how that top line runs. I've been trying to hold back a little bit. Derek Heitman tried to make a play on Jason Maines for first place, wasn't able to do it, went down to the inside, and it was that high line that you just talked about that was able to save first place for Jason Maines. He held it like a boss, just didn't give room. Heitman had no choice. He had to fall back into his second place position, and now we're once again running 1, 2, 3, Maines, Heitman, and Johnson at the top of the order here. They're not challenging anymore. I don't think Heitman thinks he can get by on the inside anymore. So eyes on the situation here, but the action that you've been calling at the middle, that's really where I'm also now going to be putting my eyes to.
Yeah, I mean, that is interesting. I mean, Maines, Jason is turning some really, really fast laps right now. Last time by, he had a 53.7, which was faster than Heitman. And I do find that interesting that he's able to kind of defend. Jason is new to this series. I mean, he is, of course, the father of Garrett Maines. New to this series, don't see a whole lot of him in, the ISCA, but he's clearly making a name for himself here tonight by leading some laps here in probably one of the most hardest series to lead laps in. I mean, this is top-tier talent that race in the ISCA. I mean, we got guys that are 6K I rating. You don't lead in the ISCA by accident.
Not at all. A little bit of contact right now between Alex Carr and Tim Wortman there. Wortman falling back into the 7th position. Carr just trying to avoid the passing of Brendan Pasalacqua, who's working his way back up to where he started on the grid now at 5th.
Yeah, of course, you see Pasalacqua. He's trailing right behind his teammate John Schaffner. Both of these drivers, the Paradigm drivers. Of course, Paradigm actually is holding 3rd, 4th, and 5th, or 3rd, I'm sorry, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. My brain's not working. Actually,
right.
6 is Alexander Carr. He's not on their team. But, yeah, so there's that. But Alexander Carr actually looking really, really fast. Got a good starting position. He's holding on to these positions. Tim Wortman Jr., he's been one that has been really, really just getting faster and faster as the season has been going. But look at Jeffrey Souza. Souza's another guy that can adjust on the car on the fly, that can kind of, make that car faster as the run goes on. And it looks like Souza has got that thing rolling. Last time by, he was the fastest car on the track, 53.537. That was better than the qualifying lap.
That is fast. Wow, yeah, that is better than the qualifying lap. I'm looking now, though, at I got eyes on Clayton Hoffman. Took up another position. He's up 9 positions now. And he's got eyes squarely planted on Jose Acosta. He's got a lot more position to make up here, though. He's got 0.2 of a second. He's got almost a full second between himself and Acosta. So if he can make that up, if he can find himself getting in that bubble during that long straight, and if you look at the way he's coming off a 2 and 3, I think Hoffman's going to find himself the draft soon enough, and he's going to start putting the pressure a little bit on the top 10 to get into those single-digit places.
Yeah, no, I think you're 100% right. I think it's only a matter of time before Clayton ends up there in the top 5 and possibly even challenge for the lead. I mean, this guy always shows up at some point and is in contention for race wins. As we see Jeffrey Souza now attacking Alexander Carr. You see Carr, of course, gets the run on the outside. Tim Wortman Jr. is going to try to push Souza by the 18, but you can see that's where that high side comes in on this front stretch, the longest straightaway in NASCAR. That's where you're going to want to use that high exit of turn 3 to kind of get the momentum. As we got a challenge for the lead, I do believe that is Derek Heitman. He is going to slide by Jason Maines, and look at the 4, Brian Johnson, kind of licking his lips, thinking that he might be able to get up there and possibly pass the 45 as well. But you can see Maines kind of gets to the back bumper of the 76, gives him a little bit of a push. This is one of those tracks where I really love the move of trying to push someone into the corner faster than they want to go.
Oh, those top 5 cars are in grid order right now as well, and they have been drafting like kings, to coin a phrase. They're draft kings. They have been staying tight as a pack of at least 5 cars, if not more, ever since this race started. And there's only been, aside from a little bit of shuffling at the front, Heitman has been constantly in contention. Now he's going to be using the high side to avoid an attack from Maines.
Yeah, there we go. Side by side again for the lead. This is interesting to say the least, but it looks like Heitman's going to use that higher line. Look how close to the wall Brian Johnson is as Jason Maines kind of tries to side draft. These guys are getting incredibly close. They're packed in here like sardines. Look at that. I do believe we just saw somebody back out of it to kind of, I think Josh Schaffner just backed out of it a little bit. I don't think he likes what he sees up here. Because look at Maines. Maines is side drafting
like Brian Johnson. It's beautiful. It almost looks like Brian Johnson and Maines fell back at the same time as well, because now they're just side drafting each other perfectly.
And they're getting, oh! Look at that. I thought they were getting ready to turn each other, but that was actually Derek Heitman actually trying to break the draft. That's the first time we've seen that. And we just started lap number 10. You know, that's something that you're going to see here tonight is guys trying to break that draft. Once you get up in the lead and the tires start to kind of wear out for everybody, that draft is going to be kind of the difference maker. If you can break that draft, you can maybe start to pull away. And I think that's exactly what we just saw Derek Heitman try to do. But I think he was unsuccessful. Brian Johnson has moved up to 2nd place. Brandon Pasalacqua has now worked his way up into 3rd. Jason Maines has fallen back to 4th place. And, of course, Josh Schaffner hanging out behind the 45. Oh, Schaffner to the inside as now he tries to challenge for 4th.
Looking good there, Schaffner, down to the yellow line. You've really got, if you're going to be breaking the draft like that at the front, Heitman's got to commit to that strategy in every turn. It looks like he's trying to. Here we have him now back into the inside. They're just kind of following him, keeping that draft, but then they risk losing positions as well to people in that high line. You got to get back into position quick. If you commit to it, you can shave off a little bit every time, but the clever opponent is going to follow you there. And if they've got the speed, you're not going to fool anyone. You're not going to lose anyone either. So let's see if he can commit to it. And he is here again, committing to it more than he was before. And if he can shave off a little bit every time, that's going to benefit him. But we'll find out. It's going to be a long
I don't really
strategy.
think it is benefiting him. To be honest,
I can't tell it.
I feel like the thing about it is he's making the track longer in a lot of ways. He's like, I feel like him going down out of his normal groove is making the track longer, and that. And if you look at Brian Johnson and Pasalaco, I mean, they're lined up nose to tail. If they stay lined up together, that kind of undoes his breaking of the draft.
You're right. Yeah, it absolutely does. I'm trying to justify it here. I'm really trying to wring water from a stone in terms of the strategy that Heitman's trying here. And because I see him doing it and I see the gears turning and I'm like, come on, shave off that little bit extra thickness every time. But it's just not coming off and it's just not paying off. Maines is still in the back there, but we're talking about Brian Johnson right now. We're talking about Brandon Passalacqua. That's where the action's at, and Heitman is just not losing them.
And you see exactly what Brandon's doing. I mean, Brandon down these straightaways is just tucking in underneath the forward, pushing it, and that's exactly what you should do. I think that's the exact thing they should do. Here comes Brandon gets to the back of the board, very wiggly there. You could just tell how desperate though Brandon was to get to the back of Brian. I mean, he really wanted to push him as best he could, but I think that they kind of almost sacrificed a little bit of handling in order to do that. But Brian getting another run back to the back end of Derek Heitman. Loving what I'm seeing here. This whole top 7, top 10, I mean, they're all very, very close on pace. I do want to mention Clayton Hoffman has moved up to 9th place. Tim Wortman Jr. and Jose Acosta are right now fighting for 7th. Wortman has had a sudden burst of speed. He's now moved up to 7th.
You're right about the pace of the top 8 here. No, within the top 7 or 8 drivers, they're not even a second apart, and it's been that way since the start of the race. They're all sort of looking for first place with keen eyes. Even not first place, they're just looking for the stage win. And at this point, I think it could seriously still be anybody's win, especially for these top 5 here. All it's going to really take is one loose corner, one over hot tire, and you could have a wreck of some people sitting in the 2nd and 3rd place positions. So the stage win could come out of anywhere, but it looks like with Heitman driving very decisively, if he continues this pace up, we're already on lap 13, almost into 14 now. It's going to be Heitman. It's going to be Heitman for the stage win. That's my prediction.
Here comes Jason Maines, though, to the inside in turn 2. He says, I'm not done. Let me get up there and possibly tussle for the top 3 as he goes to the inside of Brandon Passalacqua, not quite able to get there. You can see Brian Johnson and Passalacqua kind of have separated a little bit. Now, one thing about this racetrack is if you sit in someone's tire tracks for long enough, that actually causes your front tires to burn up a little bit more than your rears. And I think that might be what is going on with Passalacqua. Passalacqua sat behind the 4, really trying to push him for a little bit longer than he maybe should have, and that has maybe, I think, worn out his front tires. And you can see he's kind of slowed down a little bit more than Brian Johnson. Last lap, he was slower than Johnson. And, of course, a lot of these drivers have started falling off a little bit more. We've got about 0.3 of second of fall off, which is actually not very much considering we're 15 laps into this race. I mean, you got to keep in mind these lap times are about 54 seconds every lap, and we're already 15 laps in. That's not a whole lot of fall off for 0.3.
Yeah, this is a track that could very easily grind tires, but we're only 3 turns instead of 4 also. And a lot of the length here is coming out of a straight. So that tire grinding that you're talking about, that is definitely going to be something from driving into someone else's tire tracks, getting close, getting that speed that you're not really used to putting on the tires. And that might just not be as much as you expect from a track like Pocono. I think that's where we're seeing a little bit of that lesser fall off from. And I do think that Passalacqua's hunger, his bite a little bit, has waned as he's gotten to that point. Now we see a little bit of looseness from him now. A little bit of looseness from Brandon Passalacqua. So maybe the tires are just at a point where he's looking for a little bit of an opportunity to get them changed out.
Maybe he was cooling them off a little bit, because you see now he's kind of back to speed mode again as he catches back up to Brian Johnson. Now he goes for 2nd place. I think Brandon was kind of cooling his jets a little bit. I think he was kind of like, let me cool down my tires a little bit, kind of shuffle the deck, and get back at it. Because now he's back by his teammate, and now he's going to possibly try to chase down Derek Heitman. Last time by, Pasalaco was faster than Heitman. Let's see if he can maintain this momentum. I do want to mention Clayton Hoffman. He's up to 7th right now, side by side with Jose Acosta for that 7th place position. Can he keep the momentum going? I mean, he is just not stopped charging his way through the front. We got to keep in mind, people at home, Clayton Hoffman started in like 20th. I mean, this guy started way back in the back, and he is, I mean, this is not an easy track to pass at. Just to be completely honest about it, this is not easy to pass at, and he has made it look effortless.
He's taken that Toyota Camry and driven it straight through the grid. He's passed on the high side. We just saw him pass on the high side. A minute ago, we saw him pass on the low side. Clayton Hoffman, very, very close now with Tim Wortman Jr. We saw him go down. We've got a car pitting.
That's Jeffrey Souza. Interesting decision. Of course, the stage is going to be ending in 3 laps. I think this is possibly a gamble for track position. I like this call just because we're not seeing a whole lot of tire fall off. I mean, the lap times are not falling off a whole lot over 20 laps. And if you only have to do about 20 so laps in stage 2, why not try to get up front and get clean air? That could be the play. I really like that from Souza. Will it work out? I mean, this is a big track. Big tracks, it means that if you pit, you're not necessarily going to go a lap down.
That's fair. It is a big enough track. He is pitting earlier than everybody else. I haven't seen anybody else line up yet to pit. So we'll see if that's going to happen on this time around. He might just be trying a big brain strategy, something that we're going to have to see if it pays off. If it pays off on an individual level, all the more power to him. Right now, though, it looks like the best strategy is drive your heart out. And that strategy is coming from Clayton Hoffman, who's making another pass right now. He's up 14 places for 5th place.
And look at Brandon Pasalaco. I mean, he's challenging for the lead. I mean, he's right up on Heitman. I think Heitman's days are numbered right now. Look, contact. A little bit of contact there as here comes Pasalaco trying to make the pass, I do believe, on the high side. Derek Heitman jumps up to try to block the run. But Pasalaco right now has the speed. It seems like he's got the long run speed in this race car as we're closing in on the white flag for stage 1.
Falling back on my man Hoffman now. He's falling back a little bit as Josh Schaffner gets the push from Tim Wortman Jr. on the outside. The two of them now making the pass clean. It looks like Hoffman's going to have to fall back again to 7th position. Still up 12 from where he started at 19, so nothing to scoff at. I think he's just going to be looking for more action maybe in the next stage. But he's got such great exits on some of these late turns on 2 and 3 that I just have a hard time seeing him stay anywhere near 7th place. He's going to try to climb his way back up before the rest of the stage is over.
White flag is out. The race for the lead is continuing to heat up. I mean, Brandon Pasalaco and Derek Heitman have been dogfighting essentially for this lead. I mean, we saw down the back stretch, literally Heitman was throwing blocks. These guys were chasing each other down the racetrack. I mean, this is getting quite exciting as we're getting ready to come out of the final turn 3. Who is going to take this stage win? And I think it might be, you predicted that Derek Heitman would take it. Will he have it? Here comes Brandon. Brandon with a big run. Can he get there? I think Heitman's going to get it. And the caution flag is out. And Derek Heitman was stage 1 winner.
Beautiful. Yep, I have might be the first time I've actually been able to call a pick for a short, even though it was a short pick, and I was already he was already leading halfway through the stage. I'm going to go ahead and give myself another pat on the back for that one. But that's going to be seeing Heitman win that. I still have to think that the momentum, I don't know if he's got the momentum to keep it for the rest of the race. He's had challengers for the throne the entire time he's been racing. There hasn't been a lot of dominance out of him during the first part of this race. He's had to fight for his victory. That's going to tire a man out.
100%. Let's do a rundown through the top 10 right quick, and then we'll take a quick step away. We'll go ahead and talk to Derek Heitman. Of course, Derek Heitman, your stage 1 winner. Brandon Pasalaco finishes 2nd. Jason Maines 3rd. Brian Johnson 4th. John Schaffner in 5th. Clayton Hoffman 6th. Tim Wortman Jr. in 7th. Jose Acosta 8th. Alexander Carr 9th. and Dylan Banks in 10th. We'll take a step away. We'll come back, and we'll talk to Derek Heitman.
No.
When you carry out, some things are out of your control. But with Domino's new carryout insurance, we'll replace your pizza if it gets ruined after you leave the store. Carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 every day.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. Of course, we have our Stage 1 winner, Derek Heitman, joining us up here in the booth. Derek, man, what a race there for you. I mean, you had guys challenging you there for the throne quite a bit. I mean, Brandon Passalacqua was racing you pretty hard, Jason Maines. What was going through your mind there? Was the car handling like you expected?
Car was a little loose on lap 1 down in turn 1, but so that's how we kind of gave it up to Jason on the outside. It just needed the tires to come up, but racing Brandon was super fun. Racing Brian was super fun. I was just kind of doing my thing, you know, playing the games with the draft, because that's what you got to do in this terrible draft model that iRacing has, and was able to hold them off.
So we were kind of discussing a little bit about that, you know, you kind of jumping down and doing that. I kind of thought it wouldn't really make that much of a difference with them kind of lined up together. What is the benefit for doing that?
It absolutely makes a difference. If they're lined up behind you, 1-2, you know, like Brandon and Brian were, and I go down and break the draft and they didn't get off the corner better than me, they're not going to be faster than me on the straightaway until they get a little piece of draft. And then once they do, just like the iRacing draft model is super weird, and you can physically see it in the car and feel yourself speed up. I mean, being the car in the middle of two people is such a benefit on this quote-unquote simulator. So I mean, just as the leader, you gotta do what you gotta do to be able to break it.
All right. Well, what are you going to do here now that you have Jeffrey Souza, who kind of took a short cut before the stage? Are you worried about getting by him? Do you think Brandon maybe a door might get open for Brandon or Clayton Hoffman?
I'm not really worried too much. The only thing I'm worried about is Jeffrey not blowing turn 2 and killing the field. So hopefully you can keep it in one piece here.
All right. Well, we definitely appreciate your time, Derek. Who can we shout out for your first time at this track? Big Al's not here, so I got to do it, you know.
Yeah, shout out Team Conti. We got a ripping set this week. Well, we had a ripping set for Pocono. It was unfortunate that some DDoS attacks made it so that we had to postpone this race a few weeks. But shout out Team Conti. Michael Conti gave us a pretty big beast. And then shout out Brandon and Brian, man. I mean, they had a really good pace. So we'll see what they can do and be a threat for the rest of the race.
All right, Derek. We'll see you.
Thanks.
Alrighty, that was Derek Heitman, driver of the 76. I always love to have him up here in the ISCA booth. He's a hoot and a half, isn't he, Joe?
He's got a lot of. I like a guy who's confident in his abilities, but also shouts out to his competitor.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, pace car lights should be going out here, and I did love what he said about loving the competition. I think that's one thing we love about the ISCA. I mean, of course, we do have some drama that happens in this series a lot of times, but a lot of times though the racing is so clean. I mean, there's such a respect for the fellow driver, and I think that is what you look for in a league. I mean, these guys all respect each other. They all know that they're all, everybody's talented. They want to win cleanly. They want to, because I mean, you don't want to have an asterisk next to a win that you got, and I think some of these guys, they want to really challenge themselves. Space car lights are out. Jeffrey Souza, of course, kind of unknown how his car is going to do in the clean air. Also, we do want to mention he does have about 3 laps use on those tires. So I'm curious how this restart is going to go. Souza seemed like he was almost as fast, if not as fast as the drivers around him. I'm just curious what the clean air is going to do.
Yeah, he's in a unique position now where he's asked for, he's asked to be at the front of the roller coaster. So if you're going to sit at the front, you've got some responsibilities. And like what was it? Like Derek said, what he doesn't want is for him to puke on all the riders behind him. So
I like that. That's good.
He's got to hold on to it.
Way. That's an interesting way to say it. I like that. I don't think any of these guys want puke on them. I definitely don't think they do.
Exactly. So it's up to Jeff, who said, "Give me the front seat. I want the front seat. That's the best part of the roller coaster." He's not wrong, but he's got to hold it together, or else everyone's going to remember this moment.
Yeah, that's a good point. And one thing as well is you don't have kind of the reference points that you did when you're in the pack, kind of in top 5. You could look at that guy ahead of you and see what he's doing and kind of mark what you're doing off of him. Now you don't have that if you're the leader. You're the one setting the pace, and if you make a mistake, you're going to have a whole bunch of other people right there following you. But here we go, pace car down pit road as we get ready to enter the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back out for the second time as we start stage number 2 here at the Tricky Triangle. A good start there from Jeffrey Souza. Let's see how he looks into turn 1. You can already see Derek Heitman trying to side draft Brandon Pasalacqua. But here comes Clayton Hoffman already on the move. This guy started deep in the field, and he is already banging on the back door of the top 3. Jason Maines up top trying to get a good run out of turn 1 as they are dogfighting for second place.
Still too wide for second place, too wide for fourth place, too, it looks like. Close battle back there. Now up front, about a car length and a half away, it's Jeffrey Souza, who's holding it together very well. Whoop, a little bit of a wiggle there coming through too, but holding it together very well in a position that he asked for, leading the pack and leading it pretty dominantly right now, at least early on in the second stage.
And actually, I've got to be honest, I don't know if this really surprises me that much. I mean, Jeffrey Souza is a previous winner in this series. He knows what he's doing. I mean, he's not like a amateur, I'd say, but I just was a little wondering, how would he do in the clean air? But it looks like the car actually is seeming to love the clean air as he's setting some really fast laps. That last lap was 55.7 compared to everybody else, 55.9. And of course, we haven't gotten up to really to pure peak pace yet. But his first lap was fastest in the whole field. Right there. And you know what? His tires are also, we talked about that tire deficit that he has. 3 laps on those tires. That actually might be helping him because they're up to temperature. That's a good thing. Yep. Derek even said, when I was on cold tires on that first lap, I almost spun out. Jeffrey ain't got to worry about that. They're already warmed up.
That's extremely good point to make. Jeffrey, that's the big rain move that he knew there, that he was going to have just enough maturity on them that when it was time to get back to the road, when it was time to get that green flag, he'd be ready for it. Now we got too wide yet again here for second place. Want to throw it back to the race for a second. Heitman on the outside, and there on the inside getting the squeeze is Pasalacqua. He just falls back now into the string, and it looks like everybody is driving nose to nose again.
And you could just tell how hard it is to pass. I mean, Pasalacqua, I feel like Pasalacqua is faster than Derek Heitman. I mean, it just seems like he's not able to get the run where he needs it. He seems to be building the momentum. He shoots to the inside, and once you go to the inside, all the momentum kind of goes away. I mean, this is a triangle track. The angles on this track, when you're trying to get a pass completed, you have to be able to kind of arc the corner. And when you're underneath someone, you can't really arc it. You have to kind of bend your line a little bit, right? Bend your angle a little bit and kind of kill some of that momentum.
You're going to lose what feels like the ideal way to maintain speed. If you're on the inside and there's anybody on your outside, especially on a track like this, you're going to lose that ideal way to maintain speed. And if you try to carry it, it's going to slide you up. And especially the further you get into Pocono.
Somebody further back just lost it. Nick King having another issue here tonight as he is, oh wow, his front bumper has been removed. The green flag is still out. We see Greg Wachinski coming up on this guy. Looks like let's see exactly what happened here with Nick King. As we see Nick comes up on Kenny Powell, has to check up the 25 of Greg Carr. Oh no, Powell! I think Powell might have had an issue on the exit of the corner. Came up, and I think, oh yeah, that's gonna. Let's take another look at that. We're going to need another look at that because Kenny Powell, I think he's going to be the one we're going to want to really watch here. Powell seems to have some sort of issue that causes King to have this wreck happen to him. You see, Powell kind of doesn't seem like he's handling very well. Here, loose condition for Powell. He comes up, and I think King checks up, and Greg Carr behind him gets into him. Greg Carr right there behind him hits the back of the three here. And so no fault of really Nick King's own. I would say Nick King's just kind of a victim in this circumstance. Oh, right there. Just right there. Just yeeted right off the track. Man, that's unfortunate. Wow.
It was a racing incident enough that we're still driving green. And it was one car, according to iRacing.
But it ended someone's race, and that's the sad thing about it. I mean, and it just shows you how quickly the dominoes can fall to where someone's race is ended. I mean, all it took was Kenny Powell getting loose, Nick King trying to avoid Kenny Powell getting loose, and Greg Carr not seeing that happening, and right into his rear end takes out the three. So I mean, really no, I wouldn't even say that Carr didn't do that on purpose. I mean, he. So it was just a bad deal, and I guarantee you Nick King's probably not too happy about that.
No, he got struck by lightning twice tonight. If the first time was not an indication the night was not going to be his, this was definitely it. So unfortunately, he'll now be at the back of the pack, whereas up at the front, things are still running relatively smoothly.
Yeah, while it's running smoothly, I think now we'll take an opportunity. Let's talk with Nick King. We're going to pull him up in here in the booth. Nick King, we got you up on in the booth here. Hopefully everything's okay. I know you kind of hit that wall very hard. What happened from your view?
So I saw Kenny getting loose up in front of me, so I wanted to give him enough room to be able to check up and get the car under control. And I don't know if I was blocking the view or what, but I kind of got hit from behind after just looking at it. And I don't know if Greg just couldn't see or what, but race the deal mainly. Like, I checked up for him, and, one of those things.
Yeah, that's pretty much what we thought it was as well. I mean, it looked like Kenny just got loose, and, you tried to check up for him, and unfortunately Carr just kind of got into your rear end, and it just happened so quickly as well. So, unfortunate for you, Nick. You think that's going to be the end of your night?
I mean, I only had 53 required, but I've got 8 minutes, so I might hang out for a little bit, try to get as much repaired, and see if I can come back out. But obviously, finishing on lead last probably not a thing that's going to happen. So,
well, we're definitely sorry that happened to you. Hopefully, next week goes better for you. Who can we shout out, Nick?
Obviously, big thing, my wife, my mom for always supporting me. All the guys over at Warrior Racing, Warrior Apps, and then you guys for the phenomenal broadcast every week.
All right. Thanks, Nick. We'll see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
All righty. That was Nick King. Glad to have him join us up here in the booth. I think we really haven't ever had him up here in the booth, and I thought that was a great opportunity, too. And unfortunately, it was kind of under bad circumstances, but glad to have talked to him. And he did, of course, I'm sure he was a little bit upset about what happened, but he sounds like he was very understanding that it was just kind of bad circumstances.
Yeah, I think it was nice that his read was our read on it. It was bad circumstances, and he just sort of he read it exactly the same way. No hard feelings, just going to be the way things go sometimes, you know.
And we see him, of course, coming back up onto the racetrack. So at least he's getting back on the track, trying to turn some laps. I mean, it looks like he got out of everybody's way. He is missing his front end on that race car. But, you know, I mean, at least he's turning laps. You never know what could happen out here that could change the whole dynamics of this race. I mean, he could get back on. We've got, you know, races in the ISCA can be unpredictable. As we've seen,
I'll tell
this
you one
train.
thing that happened.
What's going on?
Yeah, one thing that happened while we were talking to Nick King is that Jeffrey Souza fell back 2 positions, and Derek Heitman and Brendan Pasalacqua have taken first and second.
Yeah, I see that right now. Of course, 5 are just heavy hitters in this series. And if you make one mistake around one of these guys, they are right there to capitalize on it. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe if Souza might have just slipped up a little bit and Pasalacqua and Heitman just capitalized right on it as we're on lap 35, coming to lap 36. 10 laps to go in stage 2 as Heitman, of course, back to the lead. Pasalacqua trying to see if he can maybe get something done here. He has been aiming to get that lead every time we see him. I mean, he's trying to go for the lead.
He's clawing at it, absolutely clawing at it. 2 wide now in the back there. Little bit. Jason Maines and Jeffrey Souza still holding it 2 wide there, but you're not wrong. Pasalacqua has been absolutely clawing for it, and there's Clayton Hoffman in 4th, weaseling his way through, tucking in right now behind Jeffrey Souza.
Yeah, and I think what it was is he saw that, you know, Maines was trying to attack Souza, so he was like, okay, I'll go where you're not, and I'll go higher and pass you. So, I mean, in a way, like, Clayton's using these guys as, in a way, greed to pass them. Like, you know, he's like, okay, you want to try to pass Souza, I'm going to use that to get past you.
And it seems to be working now.
It worked. He is, as he's got closer to the front, though, I think he has not been able to make near as many passes. I mean, of course, he started so far back in the field, but the closer he gets to the front, the tighter the competition gets, the more, you know, the faster they get. So can he get up here and actually challenge, you know, the likes of like Pasalacqua and Heitman? I think he's going to need to do something major to catch up. Because, I mean, these guys are not slouches. They are not easy to battle with. I mean, these guys are some of the best on iRacing.
You're absolutely right. I think one thing that could benefit Hoffman is if the 3 guys at the top all start fighting each other. If we start seeing more defensive driving, you know, from Heitman, from Pasalacqua, if they start driving more defensively against each other, it's only a matter of time before Hoffman is going to close that gap through doing nothing but driving his line. Because they're going to slow down, they're going to bring the fight to him, and that is what has allowed Clayton Hoffman to climb the ladder of this top 10. It's been all of the fighting around him. Like you said, he's being an opportunist. He's looking for the moments being made, the holes being made by other drivers making moves, and when there's a hole made, he finds it, goes right through it, and comes out the other side with a new position.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree totally with you. I think you spot on observation. You know, Clayton's now, you know, pretty close to the back end of Jeffrey Souza right now, so I think he's gonna be pouncing on that 96 here very soon. But I gotta say, I'm very impressed with Souza. I mean, with that call, I think that was a very successful decision for him to make that play for track position. I mean, this guy was back, I think, on the outside of the top 5. Now he's up in 3rd. I mean, who's to say? I mean, that's a positive gain. Any move in ISCA, you know, that like, okay, he you know, went 3 laps before the stage 1 end, and he gained positions. I mean, that's success in the ISCA. Sometimes you have to do what you have to do to get positions in this series. You could be just as fast as that guy, but you have to be, I guess, smarter in order to make positions here in the ISCA too. Because, I mean, these guys are not easy to pass. Clayton Hoffman running incredibly fast laps right now up to the back end of Souza. Can he make something happen? Can he get past Souza? Souza goes up the track. Does Clayton take advantage?
He's trying right now. I see that. They both snapped down at the same time. Souza just not quite as far. Hoffman didn't have enough speed, and he knew it. to make the pass right now. So he's still holding back a little bit, tight on the bumper of Souza, right where he was when the two of them passed Jason Maines just a little bit ago. And I think it's going to be not yet again quite, but Hoffman is going to get that speed. He's got it, just chambered, just waiting. And if he can get that line to work, he's going to use it. But right now he might be trying to wait for the battle between Passalacqua and Souza to heat up. Because if that heats up, and if he ends up having to defend from a check from Souza, he can use that to get right around him.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. And you can see that some of these drivers are faster in certain portions of the racetrack. I mean, I saw Souza and Clayton. They seem like they're better in one, off of one and around turn 2, while Heitman and Passalacqua seem to be better out of 3. So that's interesting as well to kind of see that dynamic that is kind of playing out on the racetrack as well, to see, you know, the different strengths between the different drivers. See Jose Acosta, he just worked his way up to, I do believe, 9th right now. He's challenging for 8th at the moment as he's side-by-side contact between him and the 83. That is, of course, Tim Workman Jr. Now, how will this work out? Will they continue to have contact? I think is really the question here. We do know
Acosta
that
fell back.
Yeah, it looks like Jose does fall back a little bit here. We do know Jose, definitely very aggressive driver, and a lot of times that can be a positive. Of course, especially at tracks like this where momentum is important. As Jeffrey Souza falls back to now 4th, under fire from Jason Maines, as well as Brian Johnson. Looks like Clayton Hoffman has now, for the first time, entered the top 3. Change for the lead, possibly as well, as Brandon Passalacqua to the inside of the 76 of Heitman. Can he get it done? Can he get it done?
There's that outside line, though. Just like you said, that outside line's got so much speed on it. If you can use it, it's there to use, but you got to use it. And right now, Heitman is staying there. He's dedicated to it enough that I think he's going to be able to use it to stay ahead. But with Hoffman... But with Heitman having to drive defensively against Passalacqua, they've got the chain chomp of Clayton Hoffman sitting right there, who falls back a little bit now, right as I'm talking. But I don't think Hoffman's going to be back a little ways for too long. He might just be watching for the two guys ahead of him to wreck each other. But he's going to be making a play very soon for the top position in this race.
I think Hoffman's weakness right now is turn 3. Hoffman does not seem to be able to get off of turn 3 as good as Heitman or Passalacqua. He seems to be good in 1, he seems to be good in 2, but he seems to be a little bit slower coming off of turn 3. Now, it's not hurting his lap times, which I'll say that. I mean, that's something that's good. But we are starting to get intense, more and more intense. You can see right there, look at the closing rate that Hoffman has in turn 2. That's where he's good at. That's where Hoffman's making up a lot of his time, is on the exit and through turn 2. Now look in turn 3. Let's see what he does to turn 3. He starts to back off a little bit. See, he doesn't seem to have as much confidence coming off of turn 3 as we're coming up to 2 laps to go in stage 2.
Yeah, that's gonna be a killer on that straightaway, because that's where you're gonna need that top line speed. You want to come out of turn 3 like a cannonball. And if you don't, you're gonna miss opportunities, and you're gonna have to rely on cars around you. You're not gonna be a self-made man, so to speak, when it comes to making plays on the straightaway, unless you have that kind of top line speed coming out of 3 and the confidence on the throttle to hit it and hold it. At the moment, you know that you're going to be able to hold it. Let that back end get a little loose if it really has to, but you got to hit it. You got to hold it.
And you can see right there, he closes right back in on turn 2. So, I mean, it's just almost like a road course. I mean, Pocono, you kind of mentioned it before the broadcast even began. That every corner in this place is different. I mean, and that a lot of ways is like a road course to where some guys are going to be stronger in other places. As we see, of course, lap cars coming into play. That's John Bender. We might even see this actually play. Oh, I think Heitman was trying to utilize his draft. That was kind of a little bit of a dodgy move there from Heitman, as this might be the end all she wrote, though. If Passalacqua can get above the 76 on exit, that might be it. Because, I mean, I feel like Passalacqua, if he could just get above the 76 there, it could work out for him. But you can see Hoffman just straight up pushing these guys down the straightaway. as, of course, the white flag for stage 2 is flying. Coming to the final corner, coming to turn number 3. We got a 3-car breakaway. Who is going to win it? Who is going to win stage number 2? Will Heitman go back to back? He's been dominant.
Anything to say.
And can Poslak close it? He does not. It is going to be Derek Heitman. He sweeps stage 1 and 2. Brandon Poslak, of course, comes home in second place. Clayton Hoffman gets third. Brian Johnson, 4th. Jeffrey Souza, 5th. Tim Wortman Jr., 6th. John Schaffner, 7th. Jose Acosta, 8th. Jason Maines in 9th. And Dylan Banks once again rounds out the top 10, as we have just seen a fantastic stage finish. Man, what a race that was for stage 2. I mean, these guys, I think it's going to continue to get more and more intense in the second half of this event. Of course, we're going to have to do green flag pit stops if we stay green like we've been so far. But I think now's a good time. We'll take a step away. We'll pay some attention to our sponsors. We'll come back and we'll talk to whoever you want to talk to, Joe.
All right.
You went, you served, and forged the relationships that only being baptized in the fire of combat can develop. At FallInVeteran.com, we understand the unique bond that veterans share. That's why we've created a platform where you can connect, share experiences, and build lifelong friendships with fellow veterans. Signing up is easy. Simply visit www.fall-in-veteran.com and create your profile. Customize it to reflect your military service interests and hobbies. FallInVeteran.com is more than just an online community. It's a support network where you can find resources, advice, and encouragement from those who understand what you've been through. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or simply a place to share your stories, FallInVeteran.com has it all. Join thousands of veterans who have already found their tribe and start connecting today. FallInVeteran.com. Come join us and experience the power of community. Sign up now at www.fall-in-veteran.com.
No. When you carry out, some things are out of your control. But with Domino's new carryout insurance, we'll replace your pizza if it gets ruined after you leave the store. Carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 every day.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. Of course, we just completed stage number 2. Derek Heitman was able to get the victory. We're going to go ahead and talk to Clayton Hoffman, the driver of the 92. Joe LaCastro standing by.
All right there, Clayton. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you guys doing?
We're holding it down up here in the booth. We've been watching eagerly as you've been climbing the grid tonight. Very, very steady driving. You're up 14 places from your starting place. Can you tell us a little bit about your driving strategy tonight?
I mean, I got a pretty competitive car. I don't think it's as good as the Indy car, but yeah, just working my way up. Didn't feel good coming into the race. Hadn't really practiced much Pocono. I went in officials like 3 weeks ago or something, so hadn't really turned many laps. So the few laps I did, I was trying a different concept with the setup. I didn't like it. Went back to the old one, put a couple changes in it, and we're going. I don't think it's great, but I think I'm fast enough to compete for the win for sure.
Yeah, you've definitely been putting in the speed and getting the places, as we've seen pretty clearly. What is going into the last stretch here? You've got a little bit of a longer stretch ahead of you. Are you going to be driving to try to hold first place, or are you going to be driving a little bit more to save tires? What's your strategy for the rest of this race?
I think to win the race you're gonna have to pit. I don't think you can save enough gas to just run it all in fifth gear. So I'm gonna plan on a pit stop. I'm not sure what everybody else is gonna do, but I know my plan with my pit stop. So I know what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna spoil it just in case anybody's just watching. But
right.
Yeah, I know my strategy. It'll be the best strategy. I don't know if everybody else will be on it or not. But I'm pretty sure Derek will be on the same strategy. So I think a lot of it's going to come down to pit in and out times, because if you can break draft with equal tires, or if I am actually just a little bit faster solo car than Derek is, and I can break draft from him if I pit before him, that could be the difference, or vice versa if he's faster. So we'll see.
Well, we need to, Joe. I think we need to get him out of here. Clayton got to get back.
You're good. You're good.
Take care, Clayton.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Yeah, I just had to move him back down to his thing there. I know it kind of didn't mean to end the interview prematurely there, but these guys had to race.
It's all right.
But interesting to note, though, something I think I noticed while you were interviewing, Kenny Powell. I think short pitted stage number 2, or the end of stage 2, and now is in the lead. Yellow flag is out, as I think something has gone wrong. The 19 of Jay Hone, apparently with a bumper flying down the racetrack, as we have our first yellow for cause.
Jay Hone and Josh Schaffner were also involved there.
Oh no, not Josh Schaffner. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened. As we see Jay Hone right here, you see Greg. Oh wow! What?
Whoa!
What just happened to Josh Schaffner? Josh Schaffner just all of a sudden. I want to even take a look in the cockpit after we get a look at this again. You see right there, just all of a sudden. Oh wow! What a smash! If this was real life and he was in that car, I'd be checking on him.
Yeah, that was a hard hit. Almost looked like he spilled his coffee in real life on his lap there.
I think maybe his wheel might have disconnected. Maybe not.
Had to be.
Because the way the way his wheel is straight now.
It's straight.
It makes me think his wheel disconnected.
I think you're right.
And that's unfortunate. It's almost like a hardware failure in real life. We see Jay Hone. Jay Hone had absolutely no warning to this right here. I mean, what was he to do?
Not much he could do there. Couldn't really send it down to the inside much without threatening the rest of the pack behind him.
That's unfortunate for Jay Hone. Just, man, you hate to see stuff like that happen. I mean, and this race had been so clean and green. Of course, we saw Nick King earlier in this race have something go wrong. That was kind of not of his fault. I mean, that's kind of what any of the races that have been ended here tonight have kind of just been freak accidents. But while we got a second, we're going to pull up Josh Schaffner, see what happened. All right, we got a little bit of some time here, so we figured we can go ahead and talk to the Corn Man, 50 of Josh Schaffner. Josh, what happened?
Oh, I'm here, guys. Sorry. No, just mistake on my part. Two things there. There's a bad bump there on low air pressures on the top of turn 1 there, and I got in there. And I think my other concern was I know we had a 3-wide call down the straightaway. And when I turned in there, I think I panicked that we were still 3 and wanted to move up just a hair right when I hit that bump. And that you just can't do that when you're on that bump on the first lap.
Oh, okay. So that was just a driver error. We had kind of thought it might have been a wheel disconnection or something, just the way that like it happened.
No, it wasn't there. Yeah, it's just me where, if you watch the replay there, I just, I react there concerned that we're 3 and want to make sure that I'm not crunching and just couldn't inventory the cars, on that first lap when we were down there and wanted to make sure there was room. And yeah, as soon as I just wanted to leave a little more room, I just took a little wheel input out and I hit that bump, and that was all she wrote.
Well, it's definitely really, really unfortunate for you. I know you were kind of carrying a lot of momentum from last week's third-place finish at Chicago Street Course. What were the hopes here tonight? It seemed like y'all brought a fast race car.
Yeah, car was good. Managing traffic is, it's a challenge, just kind of pick and choosing your runs. But the main goal was to just stay in the lead pack and then kind of utilize our strategy, having 4 team cars that are really fast tonight. When you do that green flag pit stop and work together the rest of the race was the plan. And I still think Brandon and Brian and Randy are quick enough that if it turns out that way and they can work together in that pit stop and work together coming out, have good stops, I think they can still have a good shot for good finishes across the board.
Well, we definitely are hoping that be the case for sure. I know Brandon has been incredibly fast. He's been trying to get the lead for a lot of this race from Derek Heitman, but I know that you're probably very disappointed with the way that worked out for you. Who can we give a shout-out, though, Josh?
First off, just shout out to all my teammates and a lot of good work this week, kind of getting ready for this race. And obviously we're on the right direction and had good pace. Obviously want to thank, Kenny and the ISCA, enjoy running this league and all the great drivers that come out, week in, week out. And this is a lot of close race tonight. It was super fun race with all the guys. And I don't think I collected anybody else. I don't believe I did. I got to go back and look, but just glad I was able to, not collect other cars in that deal. And obviously big shout out to you guys up in the booth, and I appreciate what you guys do week in, week out. And it's always a great broadcast production wise, and you guys do a good job in the booth too.
I do want to just get you. Jay Hone was involved. I think he had major damage. But I think he was the only one, I do believe.
Yep.
But yeah,
I'll shoot him and I'll feel bad for that.
I want you to be surprised whenever he messages you.
Yep.
I don't know. But thanks, Josh. Yep. We'll see you next time, bud.
You bet. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
All righty, that was John Schaffner. Glad to be able to have access to these drivers. We can kind of talk to them after things happen. I think you can kind of get a little bit of clarification. I mean, I was of the mind that it was a hardware failure, but unfortunately, it actually was just driver error on his part. I'm glad he owned up to that. I know a lot of people would say, "Hey, yeah, it came disconnected." Yeah, that's what happened.
Oh, you thought it was my wheel? Oh, absolutely, it was my wheel. How did you know it was my wheel?
But here we go. Pace car lights are out. Time to get back going again. Kenny Powell, of course, our leader at the moment. What can he do as we enter the Geico restart zone? Green flag is out once again as Kenny Powell up to the gears. Derek Heitman giving some big pushes to the back end of the 24. Already trying to take him 3 wide possibly as here comes Heitman to the inside. You see Powell jumps up in front of the 6. Ooh, Hoffman almost gets into the rear of the 6.
Almost has it.
Yeah, I mean, here comes Heitman. He's trying desperately to take this position from Powell. Now, of course, Kenny Powell has not been in the top 10 all night long. What does his speed do? Does he get faster because he's up here in the mix? That's going to be kind of a question I'm going to have. Because, of course, Powell's not a slouch either. He is a fast driver, but I just don't know if he's got the same kind of speed as, such Clayton Hoffman or Heitman. I mean, they seem like they're going to get by him. As we're 3 wide. Look at Jason Maines on the high side.
Interesting piece of note right now. Powell and Hoffman are the only 2 Toyota Camrys in the top, right? In the race right now, I'm pretty sure. And they're both the hardest chargers. Both of them right now up 15 positions.
100%. Let's see if Kenny Powell can continue to hold on to these positions, though. As we see Jason Maines, he's hard charging right now as he's trying to get to the middle of Kenny Powell. Not quite able to get there. As, of course, Derek Heitman has led this train for a lot of the race, and he's back up to the top spot once again as Hoffman possibly going to fall outside of the top 5 if he doesn't right this ship here as he's battling with Kenny Powell. Of course, Kenny Powell is a former teammate of Clayton Hoffman. As you can see, Jason Maines really pushing the 24 here.
He's trying hard now. Down to the inside goes Clayton Hoffman. He's
almost 4 wide there for a second. It's getting crazy out here in the second half of this race.
Oh, here comes 4 wide right now. Tim Wortman, Matthew Stisna in the center between Brian Johnson and Tim Wortman.
Yeah, Matthew Stisna. He's another one that's been really moving through the field as he's racing Brian Johnson at the moment. Kind of comes up. I think he pushes Brian Johnson up the track a little bit there, allows him to get up to 7th place. And Dylan Banks, he's run up in the top 10 for a lot of the night's race. He's now up in 6th. As we're seeing some guys we haven't really seen before up in the top 10.
It really mixed things up a little bit. That last, that yellow has given opportunities to a few other drivers here. And we haven't lost too many people in the race overall. It's just really shaking things up a little bit. We still see names in the race like Jeffrey Souza. We still see names in the race like Jason Maines. And they're just hanging out in different parts of the racetrack right now.
And I wonder if that's by design. I mean, it could very well easily be by design. I mean, we got to keep in mind that a lot of these guys, you know, they have different pit strategies maybe in mind and don't want to be kind of in the battle and in the fray. As we see Matthew Stisna gets really, really tight on the exit of turn 1. That's going to give Brian Johnson the run that he needs to get by him, as well as you see Tim Wortman Jr. working together. And that's one thing about it. You know, you could, if you make one mistake, these guys are there just to eat your lunch. And right there, you saw Brian Johnson take advantage.
Yeah, Brian Johnson's trying hard.
Kenny Powell falling outside of the top 3 right now, but I got to give Kenny Powell a lot of credit. The lap times he's running are very, very fast. They're competitive in the top 5. I mean, 53.3 the last time by it, of course. So I do think Kenny Powell has the speed to compete with these guys. It's just going to be about maintaining and working the traffic. I think we heard, I think it was Clayton that said something about traffic being a very difficult thing to deal with at this track, and I think that's what Kenny's finding out right now.
Clayton right now sitting in 3rd place, about 5/10 away from Brandon Pasalacqua, who is barely a 10th away from Derek Heitman in front of him. The 2 cars in front are the 2 we've seen battling for a little bit of time in this race already. They are pulling away from the pack a little bit, but the pack is still...
Go ahead.
I was going to say the pack is still just close enough that they could catch up if the 2 of them start getting defensive.
And I really think that the race is going to be between these 2. I mean, Derek Heitman and Pasalacqua. I think they have shown that they probably have the best cars here. I mean, and I wouldn't be surprised. They're probably running 2 different setups. I mean, but they are clearly the most competitive at the moment. Now, Clayton could mix in somewhere there. But I got to say, I mean, it's been between Heitman and Pasalacqua all race long, as we see the race now going for 5th place. Kenny Powell trying to hold off Dylan Banks. You see, of course, Brian Johnson right there as well. This is a big battle going on right now for the soul, essentially, or the edge of the top 5.
Banks now on the inside. He's losing position just a little bit. Brian Johnson getting by a nose on the outside. That outside line coming into play yet again, as we've seen over and over again through tonight's race. Johnson using it now, getting that car length ahead, and slotting in goes Dylan Banks, who might be in another position.
At the top of the broadcast, I know we had about a 110-degree track temp. I do want to mention something about the track temp. It has now gone down to 83 degrees. I think in practice it was 110. I think actually when the race began, I think it was about 97. So we've decreased even more down to 83 degrees. Now the wind, that hasn't changed, but clearly the track temp has changed a lot. And I think that's causing a lot of these guys to turn their fastest laps of the race. Clayton Hoffman last time by just hit his fastest lap, a 53.2. If it continues to cool down, we might see even a sub 53-second lap.
Ooh. Yeah, we instead of seeing fall off, the track has been taking care of things and making our guys stay on pace in a really incredible way. Yeah, something that you love to see. It's a great equalizer as opposed to part of the problem.
Now, of course, seeing battling all through this field. I know Dylan Banks, who was just challenging Kenny Powell, he falls back to 8th place. Brian Johnson, of course, he's 6th. Tim Wortman Jr., of course, he's sitting in 7th. see Matthew Cisna. He is under a lot of fire right now, a lot of pressure from Jose Acosta. Also Randy Mullins. Randy Mullins, who's 6th in the points right now, has just not seemed to have the same speed as his other Paradigm teammates. But you know what? I think I shouldn't say that. I think he probably does have the same speed that Paradigm drivers do, other Paradigm teammates do, but it's just the qualifying position. I think that track position is the end-all, be-all. I think that we've seen guys that have made crazy moves to get track position, such as Jeffrey Suta, who took the short hit. Kenny Powell doing the same thing. They jumped up a bunch of spots and have been able to maintain those spots. So I think if a guy like Randy Mullins was to do something like that, he would be able to maintain that position as well. So that's just something to kind of keep in mind. These guys, I think they're all very, very close on pace. It's just track position is so important.
I think you're absolutely right about that. Track position has been the name of the game in terms of we felt like has been dominating this race so far. And right now, the cameras were kind of locked on Acosta, who had it too wide for a while back there with Matthew Cisna. Acosta has been just throwing it into the turns here, really getting low and trying hard to drive for position, trying to catch up to Dylan Banks a little bit, and just get that nose ahead of Matthew Cisna. Once he got it, it started to increase a little bit now here, and we can see that he's got about 3/10 on Cisna. It was a pretty good hard drive for him, and now he's got another battle with Dylan Banks in front of him. Up at the front, though, it looks like they're side by side for the lead.
And who knew it? I mean, Derek Heitman and Brandon Paslacqua battling for the lead. Are we watching this? Yeah, of course. These guys are always battling for the lead, it seems like. Jason Maines, though, he's now put his hat in the ring as he's sitting in second place. Jason, I think he's got a chance to maybe even win this race. I mean, Jason led laps earlier in this race. He hasn't gone anywhere. I mean, maybe some guys would argue, oh, he's burned his stuff up. But really, though, he stayed in contention the whole race. We got to remember who this who his son is, Garrett Maines. Maybe he's got coached up a little bit by the pro.
He very well could have been. My money, I'm going to take the odds on Clayton Hoffman going home with, if not a podium, with the win. He has found a way to jump the gap between the pack behind him and the pack in the lead pack. He's now sitting 4th in the lead pack, and I think he's just saving tire right now. I think he is just waiting for the moment when he can use his momentum. Now there's going to be a pit stop before the end of the race, but I think that he's saving tire, and I think that he's waiting for his moment to make his move.
They are racing so hard for the lead. I just love every bit of this. I mean, this is just fantastic ISCA racing at its finest, as Derek Heitman and Jason Maines dueling for the lead. And I think you're right. I think Clayton's kind of just hanging out. I mean, if I was Clayton, I'd just be like, okay, I'm just going to stay in these guys' draft, watch them battle and burn their stuff up, and then be ready to pounce when they have nothing left. And I think that's exactly what Brandon Paslacqua was thinking, too. I think Paslacqua's probably got the same thing in mind. Let's watch Jason and Derek burn it up. Look at Brandon. He takes advantage as he gets the high side. Now, this is the line I think Brandon's been looking for all night long, and now he's going to get that pass done on Heitman. Maybe even challenge for the lead.
Heitman got a little loose there. Whoa, big fast move from Heitman and Hoffman moving up past Paslacqua. Heitman was just a little loose a few turns ago, though. I was thinking that was going to cost him. It didn't, as Paslacqua fell back a little ways, getting Clayton Hoffman that podium so far that he's been looking for. He's still sitting in second now with Hoffman in second, Hoffman in third, Heitman in second. Making the move now on Garrett Maines for first.
Yeah, Jason Maines, but yeah, 100%.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jason Maines. I see Maines as I've been saying the other name.
Yeah, 100%. What I think happened there was I think that Brandon kind of got checked up by the 45, the one of Jason Maines. I think in that, Derek kind of kept his foot in it a little bit better than and that just shows you how quick things can change. Look at how quick things have changed here as well. Brian Johnson, Tim Wortman Jr., these guys have caught the top 4. We're going to have a battle here between the top 10, essentially. They have all the snake has gotten back to, I should say the accordion has come back together.
Yeah, the accordions come back together. Let's hope it doesn't spread back out too far too soon, because that's going to. That seems to be the natural way of things. I think that some of the battling we've seen at the front is what compressed things. We had two battles going on simultaneously, both of which had drivers thinking about anything other than what was behind them in the heat of the moment. And I think that that's cost them enough speed that the guys behind them just said, "Hey, let's get back up front. Let's have some more. Let's have some more draft. Let's get challenging again, and let's let these guys in first place and second place. Let's let them remember that the rest of the pack is just as fast here. We're the best of the best. So any of us could be up there on a good day."
No, 100%. I mean, this just shows you that in a moment's notice, things can change here. 100%. And one thing we got to also keep in mind, I think we're coming up closer and closer to what could be green flag pit stops. I mean, we're 67 laps into this race. We went back green, I do believe, just about 25 or so laps ago. Problems. Oh, Matthew Cisna turned into the outside wall. Randy Mullins out into the outside wall as well. Yellow flag has come out on the speedway. Randy Drumhiller turned around the wrong way, so we have a big one to unpack here. This is going to make it where no one will have to pit for fuel. Let's see exactly what happened here. Matthew Cisna, I think he's going to be the one we're going to want to watch, as he's, of course, battling Randy Mullins here. Randy Mullins gets the run on the high side. Cisna goes up to block. Nope, Cisna, I think, just got maybe a little tight, a little bit of push loose on the exit, and Randy just didn't have anywhere really to go.
Not really.
Take another look at this. Ooh, look at Drumhiller. That's unfortunate for him.
Slid back down the track a little bit, caught up a few other cars, it looks like. Not too much carnage. A little bit on the medium side, about 4 or 5 cars involved, maybe total.
And you see right there, the Cisna gets tight on the exit of turn 3, and and it just, I think he might have touches the wall. Touches the wall, gets a little bit of a push race on when do you pit. Now everybody's going to pit. Now essentially the race is going to be settled by just who makes it to, no one's going to have to worry about fuel. It's just going to be about running as hard as you can and get to the end of this race. We're going to have, I do believe, about a little under a 30 lap run to the end. I think now's a good time to, let's take a brief step away. We'll pay some attention to our sponsors, and we'll come back, and I'm excited to see how this unfolds.
No.
When you carry out, some things are out of your control. But with Domino's new carry-out insurance, we'll replace your pizza if it gets ruined after you leave the store. Carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 every day.
You went, you served, and forged the relationships that only being baptized in the fire of combat can develop. At FallInVeteran.com, we understand the unique bond that veterans share. That's why we've created a platform where you can connect, share experiences, and build lifelong friendships with fellow veterans. Signing up is easy. Simply visit www.fall-in-veteran.com and create your profile. Customize it to reflect your military service, interests, and hobbies. FallInVeteran.com is more than just an online community. It's a support network where you can find resources, advice, and encouragement from those who understand what you've been through. Whether you're looking for camaraderie, mentorship, or simply a place to share your stories, FallInVeteran.com has it all. Join thousands of veterans who have already found their tribe and start connecting today. FallInVeteran.com. Come join us and experience the power of community. Sign up now at www.fall-in-veteran.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. Of course, we just had an accident involving Matthew Cisna, Randy Mullins, and, of course, Randy Drumhiller. So the Randys, unfortunately, got caught up in that one. But here we go, back to racing here at Pocono Raceway, the Tricky Triangle. Of course, Derek Heitman at the moment is in the lead. Everybody is going to have enough fuel to make it to the end. So anybody who was trying to win this race on strategy, unfortunately, that has just went out the window. You have to win this race essentially based on pure speed here. And I think Derek Heitman has been the one that has led the most laps. He's been the one that has stayed up front for the most. Brandon Pasalacqua, though, has been right there and has been able to challenge him for the lead on many occasions. Can he get it done? I think we're getting ready to find out as we're going to have 30 laps to go here at Pocono. Here we go. Pace car down pit road as the green flag is going to fly, and Derek Heitman up to the gears. A good launch there for the 76. As, of course, he is going to clear both second and third place. As look at there, Brian Johnson going to get a good run, maybe to get up the inside of Pasalacqua. But I don't know. Pasalacqua getting a good push from Hoffman. You see Pasalacqua jumps down in front of the four.
He's holding it now the line there. He wants to stay competitive. Pasalacqua is one of the faster drivers there who has a chance to take this overall from Heitman. He's had a chance. He's been Heitman's main rival for a lot of this driving, but now Clayton Hoffman, with the position given to him by Pasalacqua, has a chance himself to challenge for the lead. This is something that I was kind of predicting. We talked a little bit about it during the break. I think that Hoffman waits for the moment to use a car in front of him to get a position. And I think he just did it, and there's a chance, if Heitman makes any mistakes, he can do it again.
And one thing I'm noticing, though, we were talking about Hoffman's weakness earlier in the race. It seemed to be turn 3. I did not see that weakness just now. Hoffman just came off of turn 3 like a absolute rocket. And, yeah, I think something, maybe an adjustment was made to Clayton Hoffman's car. He is good at making adjustments to that race car. Maybe he did something to help that turn 3 exit, and it seems like it is working flawlessly. Because be honest, under the break, we were kind of talking like, I know that was kind of like a private conversation. Who was going to win this race? Who do you think is going to win this race? I was like, well, I think Heitman's got it. And I think you said, or it might have been Kobe, said Clayton could possibly get it. And I was like, I don't know. Clayton just doesn't seem like he's able to get it done to get up to the lead. And I think I might be eating my words at the end of this race with the way he just the way he just clobbered that, those positions just now.
Yeah, now he's back into a position, though, where he doesn't need to make a move too quickly for the lead. He's got laps to make that move. He still is going to have to drive a little defensively because, Pasalacqua is right behind him. But if he can maintain speed, if he can keep pace with Heitman, it's going to be just a matter of when do you want to make this move? So that move has to be made at a moment where he can keep whatever lead he gets. I don't think it's going to be on lap 100. I think it's going to be sooner than that. But I'm not sure exactly when Clayton Hoffman is going to make that move.
I mean, there's other drivers as well that could possibly make moves as well. I mean, Dylan Banks, he's up in the top 5. Of course, we saw him earlier. I think at the conclusion of stage 1 and 2, he finished 10th. He's now in 5th. I mean, and Jose Acosta, he's up to 6th. Jose, I think, last time by just hit a 53.130, which is the fastest lap of the race. That is the fastest lap out of every single driver out here. And he just hit that kind of lap. Actually, somebody just bested it. Hitting that something. Jason Maines just hit a 53.111 as we're getting closer and closer. And I even just look at another lap. Clayton Hoffman, 53.075. We are getting closer to that sub-53-second lap. Isn't this just so exciting?
It's really impressive to see lap times get faster as a race gets longer. And it's a testament to cars and drivers who know their car and who have driven it to the edge and are taking it to that edge and further. If you can get this kind of effect, especially with the wear effect and the tear effect on the vehicles, being able to push past that statistic and say, now we're going to get faster and faster times with better and better drafts, with better and better speeds as the day goes on. That's just fun. That's just beautiful. And it means you're going to have exciting racing from top to bottom.
I think that's exactly what we're seeing. I mean, even Dylan Banks just now, he hit a 53.0. Oh, Jason Maines, 52.999. We just saw our first sub-53-second lap. I see Mark Sanchez hit a .923, and I bet everybody at home in the audience is like, you guys are just listing out numbers. Who cares about these numbers? But these are really, really fast. We got to talk about the qualifying lap time. Jason Maines, I think, qualified with, what was it, a 53.5, or Derek Heitman with a 53.5, something like that. Like, that's a fast lap at Pocono. These guys are going half a second faster than that. Like, that's insane. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
that's really beautiful times.
It really is. I mean, I've never been so thrilled to talk about numbers. I mean, but Derek Heitman is in the lead right now. He's in control. Can Clayton Hoffman maybe wrangle this lead from him? We got a whole lot of drivers out here that have hit their strides. And I think you're right that they have gotten used to these race cars. They have really just gotten comfortable and confident. And a lot of times that confidence equals that speed. When you know what your car is going to do, you can kind of make the moves and just sail it in there knowing that it's going to stick. As you can see, Dylan Banks now challenging for that fourth place position. Dylan Banks is a driver that actually has commentated with us before. He's broadcasted in our booth, and now he's out there. He's going to be trying to fight for a win. We might even get to interview him, which would be cool. The 70 machine, of course, we'd love to have him up in the booth. He's really fun to talk to, and it's always great to get, like his perspective on the driving. And clearly he knows what he's doing, so I guess, reputable perspective there.
I love it when a commentator is behind the wheel. If I ever get back behind the wheel, you'll probably not see me in any of these leagues anytime soon, but be sure to interview me too, will you?
100%. Well, I know I wanted to race this race, to be honest with you. I was telling everybody last week, I was like, anybody need me to sub in for you? Because I love this track. It's so much fun. I mean, it is a lot of fun. I mean, it's something about Pocono. I don't know what it is. I mean, you would think a triangle racetrack with 3 different turns would be like, oh, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. That doesn't sound like a fun equation. But I tell you, this track is just, and it's awesome. And I know you had some statistics or some trivia earlier that I kind of didn't know. Like you said, this is a family-owned racetrack, and it's been in that generation or that family for quite a while. Is that right?
Yep, from top to bottom, it has been owned and run by the Mattioli family since its inception. It's one of the only family-owned racetracks. You can camp in the middle of Pocono for a whole race weekend. Also, it's some fun stuff there, and it actually has it's fully sustainable. They have a 25-acre solar farm, which generates electricity to power the track and houses around the track.
That's pretty neat.
Kind of fun, huh?
Yeah, no, that's definitely really, really interesting. We see the battle going on between Dylan Banks and Jose Acosta. This is for 5th place. And of course,
there's some contact here too.
Yeah, Jose does like to get a little physical, and I think it's going to continue to get physical here. Of course, Jose Acosta being the brother of Abner Acosta, both of the Acosta brothers, very, very fast drivers. I got to say, and Jose, if you're listening to this broadcast, I know you probably will. I do not. He is the more aggressive brother. I got to be honest.
Well, it seems to be paying off. He's keeping pace just fine with Dylan Banks right now, trying to get position past him, not quite able to edge by with that outside line just working too well for Banks.
And of course, we did see a challenge for the lead as well there for a moment. Clayton Hoffman had got alongside Heitman, but Heitman, I think his just main strength is that he uses the top side. No one can pass him on the bottom because he just moves up top and defends it. I mean, it works. And I think that's what's going to possibly get him this win. Unless, the only way I think that somebody passes him for this lead is if he makes a mistake. And I'll tell you what, Derek Heitman doesn't usually make a lot of those.
No, not from what I've seen tonight. I admit I haven't seen a ton of races with Derek Heitman. I think I may have seen one other race. His performance tonight has been aggressive. It's been professional. It's been nothing short of just watching some of the best stock car racing that iRacing has to offer in terms of how to lead a race and how to make sure that you get your lead back and keep it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, I think that's definitely. I mean, he could have easily made a mistake somehow to get deeper in this pack. I mean, everybody goes for positions back here like in the series like crazy, and for him to still be in the lead after 80 something laps is quite a testament But here comes Clayton Hoffman back to the inside. Hoffman goes all the way down as they're both playing a little bit of them draft games that Heitman was talking about earlier. Can Clayton get it done? No, he's going to come up the track a little bit here. He's going to lose the momentum on the exit, and this could open the door for Pasalacqua.
Wow, this is also a bad position for Hoffman to be in. Now he's down on the inside. That train on the outside is going to start pushing past him. If he can't find a way to slot back into it, he's going to lose 2-3 positions easy and end up in a very, very unfavorable spot for 20 laps left in tonight's race.
Yeah, and you see there's a gang of race cars that are all ready to take his position. I mean, you see Jose Acosta. He just entered the top 5 using that higher side. Watch out for Jose. Jose's aggressive, and he will possibly try to get up here and maybe challenge for this lead. I mean, could he possibly get a podium finish here as he's now attacking Clayton Hoffman? I just love this to see all these race cars that we really haven't seen going for the top 5 now up here in the mix. Jose Acosta trying to make something happen here, as well as now Brandon Pasalacqua. He's lined up to maybe try to challenge for the lead as well again.
All these cars here. Pardon me, go on.
I was just going to say, I do want to mention the top 9 are the only, pretty much that's the pack right now. 10th on back is about 2.5 seconds behind these guys.
Things have stretched out since that yellow that we had, that sort of unnatural restart. Things have sort of calmed down and stretched back out, but that pack at the front is a full-on pack. You've got at least the first 6 cars are within a second of each other. If you go all the way back to the first 9 cars, it's only a second. It's only 1.3 seconds, so it's really not much difference there. These cars are close enough now that even with less than 20 laps to go, it's anyone's race. Or that with 20 laps to go, it's still anyone's race in these top 9 cars. There could be easy bumping, there could be falling back. All it's going to take is one swipe of the wall, and you can see a car lose 3 or 4 or 5 positions very quickly as they end up falling to the inside or the outside and giving up those positions to cars who have that speed and who can maintain it for this last stretch here as the sun begins to set in Pocono.
Yeah, for sure. And I think some drivers are starting to struggle a little bit more. I think I see Dylan Banks. I mean, his lap times are starting to actually drop off. Can he maintain the edge of this drive? I mean, he moved up all the way to I do believe the top 5. Now it's falling back to 9th place. Last lap, though, he does seem like he's gotten the pace back up. Clayton Hoffman, though, is now back to attack mode as he goes to the inside of Jose Acosta. Can he possibly get this pass done? Can he get back up into the top 3? You can see, of course, Brian Johnson. He's back up in 3rd right now in that machine, reminiscent of what I'd say Kyle Larson's Hendrick car's paint scheme. Kind of looks like that.
Yeah, it sort of does there.
It does look like that, I think. I like that paint scheme. Brian Johnson usually runs a little bit of a darker blue, I do believe. So loving the new colors there. I'm loving the new colors, I do believe, for Brandon Pasalacqua. He's usually running a different paint as well, but looking like he's got that kind of a black paint as well. So loving these guys are, wanting to kind of change up their schemes. Every week we kind of get used to what they look like, but now they're looking a little bit different. They want to keep us broadcasters guessing.
Yeah, it is a bit of a guessing game sometimes between trading paints and watching the stream and keeping up with the different changes in color schemes from team to team. But I enjoy the challenge as a commentator. I got to say, it's part of the reason why I'm here, is pattern recognition. So I get to do that over and over again.
Yeah, one thing I do love about, iRacing is, these guys really have no limits when it comes to their creativity, when it comes to painting their race cars. That's one thing that I just absolutely love. Some of the most beautiful, I think some of the cars on here are more beautiful than cars you see in real life, that are on the NASCAR track. Because you could do whatever you want to do. A lot of times whenever you're, having, like, let's say you're painting cars for real life NASCAR teams, you're kind of beholden to what they want. But on here, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, and you can still maintain a lot of authenticity, and you end up seeing designs, like you said, that challenge and rival. You blink and you're like, is that? I swear I've seen that on somebody's car before. I've seen that wrap. No, you haven't. It's just the creativity of the racing community. It's the dedicated skill of hobby racers like us who really get into the sport and want that authenticity to shine through in an experience like iRacing. And it's part of the reason why these broadcasts that we like to do are so, I think they're so entertaining, is you got guys helping make sure it's so authentic from the top to the bottom.
And I do want to mention as well that we see a little bit of a separation in this pack of 9. I do believe Jeffrey Souza and Dylan Banks have fallen back. They are about a 1.7 seconds off of the now top 7. So the top 7, these are the guys essentially that still have the chance to win. As of course Derek Heitman still in the lead. He has led almost the entire race. I think there's only a handful of laps really that he hasn't led. As Brandon Pasalacqua, though, has been challenging him the entire race as well. Here we go. Side by side once again for the lead, but of course Derek has been so strong up on that top side. But I got to think that Brandon eventually is going to get tired of trying to pass on this inside. When does he step over that line? When does he maybe push it a little bit harder than he should? And we might even see contact because of that as Jose Acosta drives it in deep.
That's a darn good question. I don't think he's going to try to challenge him on the outside ever. I think he's going to keep challenging him on the inside. But I think that the overstepping, I don't know about contact between these two.
Contact between Jose. Jose kind of beating and banging, playing some bumper cars here with Clayton Hoffman. He almost got into Brian Johnson as well. Jose Acosta is definitely driving very aggressively right now, and I know a lot of these drivers up here are not going to be too happy about it.
I was going to say Pasalacqua and Heitman are not going to have any contact between each other, but then as soon as I said that was when Acosta decided to bounce a little bit off of Hoffman there. So I think you're right. We got to keep an eye on that happening, because if anything happens to the middle of this pack of 7, we're going to see the front pulled away completely, and then the race is going to be decided.
Yeah, for sure. And if it stays, it could be just Brandon and Heitman. It could come down to just them two if these guys keep racing so hard. I mean, you can see Jose has gotten back by Clayton Hoffman. Of course, you see Jason Maines as well, kind of taking advantage of Jose. But the battle still on for the lead. You can see these guys essentially chasing each other around this racetrack. But I think Pasalacqua, like I said, I think he's going to get a little bit more impatient. But then again, I've talked to Pasalacqua before. I mean, a bunch of times, and usually he is kind of that guy that is more patient than a lot of the other drivers out here. He would rather finish second than wreck his car, of course. I mean, but here he goes. You can see he is kind of showing a little bit more aggression, and I think that's just because of the simple fact Pasalacqua knows he's got the car that can win this race. He's like, if I can just get in front of the 76.
He's driving it so hard right now, and you can see the moment where he decides, nah, this is where I'm going to keep going. This is where I'm going to keep the pedal down, and I'm going to take that spot, and you can see the moment where he doesn't. And it's unfortunate, but it looks like for every one he does, there's 2 where he doesn't, and that's where Heitman is just able to squeeze back like just it happened right now. We saw Pasalacqua take the lead. Heitman took it right back. Give it a few turns, though, and Pasalacqua is going to challenge for that lead again, potentially even take it, and then Heitman is going to make his move and potentially take it right back.
And I just feel like these guys are getting closer and closer to one another as well. I mean, you're seeing Pasalacqua almost physically touching Heitman. This might be the chance. Can he get clear? He does. Pasalacqua finally has taken the lead here with 10 to go.
I reckon.
And you see, they are able to keep it straight as Jason Maines, Brian Johnson having some issues. But Brandon Pasalacqua has gotten through to the lead. We're going to take a look and see exactly what just happened.
How is that not a wreck?
You see Brian Johnson gets really loose. Derek, I think he might have blocked Jason. Derek Heitman, after he got passed by Pasalacqua, I think might have slowed down a little bit, and Jason Maines, I think might have gotten into his rear end. That's definitely an interesting accident. I think it was just some really, really hard racing towards the end of this. Somehow they were able to keep going straight.
It was only because they were 3 wide that they were able to go straight. The 2 inside cars were poised to spin, and then they hit the car on the outside, who sent them both back straight. It was absolute divine intervention. It was unbelievable. that they did not wreck out there. I'm pretty impressed. With 10 laps to go, I'm pretty impressed.
And now the entire race has changed. I mean, Derek Heitman, who won Stage 1, who won Stage 2, has led the majority of this race, now has lost the throne. He has lost the crown. Brandon Pasalacqua has taken the lead. He has been arguably the best car in the race here so far tonight. And now, I mean, he's tried. So, I mean, I think it's countless how many times he's tried to take this lead from Derek Heitman, and he finally was able to do it. And no one could take it from him. I mean, when it comes to, he earned taking that lead. You could say that accident maybe led him to get that lead, but that's not what happened at all. He drove his way past Derek Heitman.
You are exactly right. There wasn't a moment in this race when Brandon Pasalacqua was not trying to pass Derek Heitman. And even if he did and it came back, he was still trying to pass him. Even when he did pass him, in his brain he was still thinking, I'm going to pass this guy. It was a rivalry that we've been watching play out over the entire race that we've just now seen cemented in a moment that I thought was going to be potentially race defining. But look at what's happening to the gap already. Heitman is coming back bit by bit. He doesn't have a lot of time left to do it, but that gap is tightening. What happens at Pocono, like I said at the beginning of this race, is you get close races at the finish. And I think that's what we're going to see.
And one thing we also got to keep in mind, I mean, Brandon, of course, insanely fast. He's probably got the best car here tonight. But what does that car handle like in clean air? That's the difference. He's not behind Derek Heitman. He doesn't have Derek Heitman to judge himself off of. One thing about, road courses, any kind of racetrack where you got to use some brake or any sort of technical type track, it actually helps you quite a bit to follow someone else because you can kind of see what they're doing and do it a little bit better. Now, he does not have that judge anymore. Now he has Derek Heitman behind him. So now, in a way, Heitman is going to school.
Yeah, absolutely. He's biding his time, waiting for the moment to pounce. If he can do it, he's going to have to do it quick. There are only about 6 laps left in tonight's race. About 7 laps left, in tonight's race. So if he's going to make his move, Heitman, he's going to have to make it soon. And he's going to have to hold on to it once he does. Because like you said, Pasalacqua is just going to be driving the fastest he can possibly drive. And that's all he can do right now is drive this car to its absolute edge. So if he does anything less than that over these next 5 laps, it's going to cost him potentially 2 positions with the way that Clayton Hoffman is driving right behind Derek Heitman.
And that's another, big variable here is Clayton Hoffman. I mean, Clayton Hoffman last time by was about a 10th faster than Derek Heitman, and he was faster about the same amount than Pasalacqua. So I think that Clayton clearly has the faster car of these two that are in front of him at the moment. But can he capitalize? Will he be able to maybe, if Heitman attacks Pasalacqua, can Hoffman utilize the traffic to benefit, to take advantage of that? How long will he wait to really try to make that move? I think we're going to find out because these guys, it's pretty much going to be a 3-car race for the win. And I do want to mention as well that Tim Lorman Jr., he's on the edge of this. I mean, he's not quite at this top 3 right now. He's pretty close. But if, let's say something goes wrong between Pasalacqua, Heitman, and Hoffman, Wortman's right there. And he maybe scoops up his first win of the series.
Don't write him off for sure. He has the fastest lap, one of the fastest laps of the race at a 52.9 even.
Wow, yeah, you're right, 100% right. 52.895, which is, I think that is the fastest lap of the race here so far tonight, which is just incredibly impressive from that driver. As of course, we see this just duel going on, and Tim has closed that distance. He's now one of the 4 cars, so he clearly has a chance here. As we're coming up to less than 5 to go, 4 laps to go. Clayton Hoffman has gotten by Derek Heitman. Here he comes. He is now attacking Pasalacqua for the lead. Can he get this pass completed? Clayton Hoffman, who started this race deep in the field, he just took the lead from the 6.
I can't help but smile. What a charge What a charge. As soon as he got sights on, as soon as he was in second place, he said, that's not good enough. But now here he's got to fight for it. Like I said, this might be where Clayton Hoffman has his hardest attempt, is that he's got to fight to keep first place once he gets it, just like Brendan Pasalacqua.
Well, I know Brandon Pasalacqua had to fight so hard to get that position, and you just have to know that his heart has got to be broken having to give that position up. And you know he's going to fight as hard as he can. But here comes Derek Heitman. He's trying to make something happen. And here comes Tim Wortman Jr. This is not going to be easy. I don't think this is settled at all, ladies and gentlemen. We still have 3 laps to decide. A little bit of beating the man there between Tim Wortman and Heitman. This is not done. This is not over. Clayton Hoffman, though, can he do it? Be the biggest mover of the race and also grab the checkered flag? We might see it as we're coming to 2 to go.
This is just beautiful racing from a position 18 places back, up 18 places to first, taking first so late in the race too, just leading for the last handful of laps here. Clayton Hoffman has been one of the more impressive. It's been impressive that his strategy has paid off the entire race. We even had a moment where we thought, you know what, everybody's strategy thrown out the window. Not in this case. Hoffman's strategy of looking for the moment, stealing away the moments, and taking the opportunities to get those passes has consistently paid off, and we're still seeing it happen.
Yeah, I mean he's secure in the lead right now. Car seems to be handling pretty well in the clean air. I mean he's faster than Derek Heitman and Tim Wortman Jr. They're actually Pasalacqua and him are starting to pull away a little bit on the 3rd and 4th place drivers. Could Tim Wortman Jr. get a 3rd place? I'd love to see that. Be able to talk to him. But of course, Derek, he's got to be somewhat deflated. I mean, when you win stage 1 and you win stage 2, you hope that you can win the race. I mean, when you lead the majority of the laps, I mean, the guy probably led over 70 laps of this event. And when you're not able to lead that final one, that's got to be just a gut punch for the 76. As here's the white flag. What are you wondering?
I was thinking, I wonder what's going through Brendan Pasalacqua's head right now. Where did Hoffman come from? Why is he so fast?
Yeah, that's definitely a really good question. I'm sure Brandon's going to be asking him after the checker's waving, because Clayton's pulling away. This is the first time I think we've really seen a driver pull away for the lead. Now, last week, or not, was it last? No, I think it was the week before that, Indianapolis. Clayton Hoffman was able to drive away at Indianapolis. Like, no one was able to do that, but Clayton Hoffman was able to do that. And it seems like, even though it's really, really late in this race, he's going to maybe be able to do it here tonight as he comes to turn 3 for the final time at the Tricky Triangle. Clayton Hoffman did not lead all the laps. He started this race way outside of the top 15, and he is going to win at Pocono Raceway. What a performance for the 92. I mean, the guy tied his hand behind his back and still came out here and won this race.
Really, really impressive, and that's why these guys are the best at what they do. You've got talent all over the field. You've got strategies that can last through pit stops, that can last through yellow flags, and you've got racers like Clayton Hoffman and Brendan Pasalacqua, Derek Heitman putting on incredible shows at very technical tracks. What a race.
Well, it's just an amazing race here tonight at Pocono. I tell you, this has just been one of my favorite broadcasts. I gotta say, I mean, just one of my favorite racetracks as well. And to see these guys just put on such a fantastic performance. I mean, I don't think there was the top 5 was full of drivers that could have won this race. But Clayton Hoffman, he just shows that he is one of the best, and clearly he just cemented himself, I think, as a legend in this series. I think he was already a legend in this series. But I think that, starting so deep in this field has made it even more impressive as he's going to come around to do a celebration here. And you got to know that the drivers, or the team that he represents, Nitro Racing, it's got to be just so impressive and excited to have him on board, leading their Cup program. I mean, I'm definitely very impressed with Clayton Hoffman, I got to say, for sure. Big fan of his. Even though I'm involved in a competing setup shop, I have to recognize game. I mean, he is just fantastic driver, fantastic builder. But let's go ahead and run down through, of course, the running order here. Clayton Hoffman, your winner after starting all the way back, I do believe, in 18th or 19th position. Brandon Pasalacqua finishes second place. Derek Heitman finishes third after winning stage 1 and stage 2. Tim Wortman Jr. comes home fourth. Jason Maines in fifth. Dylan Banks finishes sixth. Very good run from him. Seventh place, Brian Johnson. Eighth place, Jose Acosta. Randy Mullins, even after being involved in an accident earlier, finishes in ninth. And Mark Sanchez rounds out 10th.
All right, let's go down through it. 11th place, Greg Carr. 12th, Alexander Carr. The car is in order there. Not bad. 13th, Ryan Huff. 14th, Kenny Powell. 15th, John Binder. Binder? I forgot which one.
Binder, you got it.
Binder, let's do it. 16th, Craig Wachinski. 17th, Paul Olson. 18th, Jeffrey Souza, who was leading the race at one point there. Really good strategy from him. 19th, Randy Drumhiller. And 20th, Jay Hone.
21st, Matthew Cisna. 22nd, Nick King. And Josh Schaffner. Unfortunate race for him. He had top 5 speed, finished 23rd. With that, we're going to take a brief step away. We'll come back and we'll talk to our top 3.
No.
When you carry out, some things are out of your control. But with Domino's new carry-out insurance, we'll replace your pizza if it gets ruined after you leave the store. Carry out large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 every day.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISCA Super Cup Series. What a thrilling race we saw here today at the Tricky Triangle. I got to be honest, this one's going to go down in my memory as one of the best races I probably ever called. For sure, my voice is getting ready to leave me here after shouting so much here tonight. But, of course, first of all, we're going to talk to our third-place finish, Derek Heitman. Derek, do you read me?
I read you.
Well, you don't sound as excited as I do, but I understand completely. Considering you won stage 1, you won stage 2, what happened at the end there? How did you let Brandon get by you?
But it just hard racing in turn 2. There's a little bit of contact, but we're just racing for a win, and so we're going through the tunnel turn, and it's just enough contact to slow me down. He gets ahead. And then I didn't have anything for Clayton because I was using my tires up trying to hold him off. So once Clayton got around, I knew I was pretty toast. And then I had a good battle with Tim for P3 there.
Yeah, Tim definitely seemed like he had a lot of pace there for sure. Now, we do got to say, I mean, it was so impressive to see how you were able to defend the lead for so long. I mean, every time we turned around, Brandon was kind of challenging you for that position, but you were able to expertly kind of defend him on that top side. Was that something that you knew you had in the kind of as a tool? Did you think that you could mess up that, or is there anything you could do to the race car to make that to where you didn't have to defend so much?
No, because the draft model here is absolutely broken. iRacing really needs to do something about the draft model in the next gen cars, so that's why you gotta do all the swerving and snaking on the straightaways to try to make it so the guy behind you can't keep up. There was a couple times where when Clayton was coming up through the field, I was paying attention to, it was just me and Brandon on a breakaway, and I think Clayton had Kenny behind him or Kenny in front of him or whatever, and I was trying to snake Brandon and I so they couldn't have our draft, and I was doing everything I could to try to get us to spread out a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's just product of the racing, and it's really nothing you can do in the setup wise. I guess I could have drove better through the tunnel turn because that's a really difficult corner. So once you master that corner, that's kind of how you get the separation to the car behind you and catch the car in front of you faster. But all in all, it was a great race. I mean, I'm not disappointed with the finish at all. I had a blast. That was probably the funnest ISCA race I've ever been a part of. So hats off to everybody in here that made it a good show.
I think I agree. I think that this is the funnest one to watch, and I'm glad that you had fun. It looked like you guys were having fun for sure, Derek. Of course, next week we're going to go to Richmond. What do you think? Where does that rank on your scale of favorite tracks?
It'll be my first time there.
Oh, whatever.
No, Richmond's all right. I think last year when we came to Richmond in August, I had a pretty good lead, and then I ended up getting taken out by a lap car. So hopefully we can mimic that this year and have bring another good car to the track, and hopefully escape with either a best case scenario a win or a top 5.
All right, well, we definitely hope the best for you, Derek. Who can we shout out?
Yeah, shout out Team Colony again for the great setup. Shout out Brandon for the good hard racing. Clayton with the win. Everybody in here who kept this race, a majority green the entire time. I guess the only thing I'm disappointed in is that we didn't get that green flag pit stop. But at the end of the day, strategy would have played out a little bit more. I had a feeling a lot of people in the field probably didn't know that 2 tires was the call. I was hoping that was an advantage that I was going to have to be able to play that card, but unfortunately it didn't ever happen. But again, shout out to Kenny for putting on the league. You guys putting on a good broadcast. I'm definitely going to have to watch this one back.
All right, Derek. Well, definitely, hopefully you enjoy the broadcast when you watch it back, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All righty, that was Derek Heitman, driver of the 76 machine, won Stage 1 and Stage 2, and led the majority of the laps here tonight. Joe LaCastro, of course, going to be talking now to Brandon Pasalacqua, our second-place finisher.
All right. Hey there, Brandon. Do you read us?
I read you, Joe. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Let's talk about how you're doing, though. You were constantly in contention for that first-place spot just about all night. And then when you finally got it, can you tell us how it felt when you saw Hoffman coming screaming up past you?
Yeah. So Derek and I had a fantastic battle all race, and we were trying to work together to break the draft on the cars behind us, but we just could never get far enough. So just like Heitman said, it's tough to do that, and it was good working together with him. And we had to race each other into turn 2 hard with 13 or 12 to go. So we have a lot of respect for each other. So I feel like that's good racing between the two of us. Yeah, and I was hoping once I got clean air, I would just set sail, and that did not happen. I had used way too much right front, and I think Clayton did a good job managing his stuff better than myself. And so, we'll take a good points day and finish in podium spot for sure.
Absolutely. Was there anything special you did to the car tonight to get ready for Pocono? I know it's a unique setup in terms of how racetracks go with 3 distinct turns. So was there any changes that you made before the race started to get ready for tonight?
Yeah, no, so I just went off my notes from a few weeks ago when we were supposed to run here. I think iRacing servers were down when we were supposed to run here a few weeks ago. So I just
Right.
went off my notes from then and, just made a few adjustments to loosen my car up in traffic. That's why I feel like I was able to kind of stick, up in the top 2 or 3 all day, just because I could handle a little bit better when I'm behind someone than maybe some of the other cars. So I think that was a good adjustment, and just happy with the finish.
Yeah, you clearly had a very fast vehicle today. Excellent work on that. And is there anybody else is there anyone at all you'd like to send it out to, a thank you or a shout out tonight?
Yeah, definitely. Just want to again shout out to Derek. It was a great battle the whole race, and it's fun being able to race like that. So I appreciate that. And Clayton's getting the win. Fantastic driver as always. So congratulations to him. Give a shout out to OB Builders and Ram Welding and Fabrication, my boys at Paradigm. We all had strong cars today. An incident there, here and there, and struggled with track position a little bit. So we were strong, but looking forward to Richmond next week. And thank you guys in the booth and Kenny for putting on the league.
Well, you're very welcome, and good luck with the next race. I'm going to pass it back up to Brian.
All right, that was Brandon Pasalacqua, driver of the 6 machine. Next up, we're going to be talking to, Clayton Hoffman. I mean, Clayton, you started this race in 19th position. You drove your way up to lead only 4 laps. Only 4. Clayton, I mean, man, I got to be honest, we were under a commercial break, and I was like, I don't think he can do it. I don't think he can get up there and win this race. And Kobe Jordan, our producer, was like, I think he's going to win it. And he was right, Clayton. I was doubting you, but you just came up here and proved me wrong. Clayton, I mean, what magic do you put in that setup? I mean, it's like the Indianapolis setup or what?
I mean, there's some stuff in there. Makes the car a little faster, I think, on the long run than these other guys. And I think, as far as me having a chance to win there at the end, I don't think if there was that incident that got me past Brian, Jason, and Jose, I don't think I'd have a chance. I think there's too much track position to make up with the aero model. So I think I really just got lucky there, and I just had a really fast car on the long run. I didn't feel like I was super fast there, shorter mid-run, but I knew I had to go there once that happened, and the seas just parted there for me, and I just had a really fast car there at the end, so I was able to do enough to get it home.
Well, I know these guys are probably getting tired of seeing that 92 come up here and win these races, but you definitely earn them. I mean, that's for sure, and you kind of give these guys a little bit of a mark to hit, something to aim at for sure. Do you feel like there's a target on your back with you winning, here a lot lately?
I don't think anything crazy, no. Everybody here likes racing with each other. I think a lot of people here, since this is the open setup, really just respect, what each other driver brings to the table when it comes to, wherever they get their open setups from. So I know a lot of people know that I make everything on my own from scratch, so they know that I work really hard at it, and they usually don't do anything crazy to team up against me or anything. So they have a lot of respect for me. I have a lot of respect for them all as drivers out there, and I was surprised that we had that caution tonight, just because of how everybody races in this league. So yeah.
That is definitely a really good point. I mean, just the respect level in this league, I think, is probably higher than definitely the officials, but even other than other leagues. Usually we don't see a whole lot of cautions. I kind of wish that we had seen, how the pit strategy could have worked out there. What was your, were you kind of on the 2-tire strategy like Derek was going to be?
Yes. Yeah. I kind of had me and Derek being the same thing, probably, but that was going to be the call. There's just not enough wear here really to justify taking 4 tires, I don't think. And where we weren't doing a full fuel run there, I think 2 tires was the call. You'd save, I think it was like you'd be hitting like an 8-second stop versus like a 14-second stop, and that's just too much time to overcome.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely 2 tires here at Pocono seemed to be the call, but unfortunately didn't get to really see that play out. But either way, you were able to get yourself to victory lane after starting in 19th position. Richmond's coming up next week. Do you feel like that's going to be a good track for you?
No, not at all. I got a lot of work to do at Richmond, so I think I can figure it out. But as it stands, if we race Richmond tonight, I think that'd have been pretty bad for my standard at least. I probably could have got a top 5 or 10, but I got to figure some stuff out with that short track package. I'm pretty good at the 1.5 miles and the large tracks. I got more work to put in over there. Definitely focus I need to put.
Well, I'm sure you're going to get working on it, Clayton. Who can we give a shout out after your big victory here tonight?
Yeah, just shout out to Nitro Racing. Shout out to you guys in the booth. Kenny for still putting on the league. Domino's for sponsoring the race. And it was a really good race. I try to make it up there to kind of battle for a stage win, but I think just with how long those runs were and how the track was, it just didn't seem like I didn't feel like I had enough car there. So honestly, I was really fast at the end of the race, but honestly, I almost didn't even see it coming. It's great battling with everybody, and looking forward to next week.
All right, we're looking forward to it as well, Clayton. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, that was Clayton Hoffman, driver of the 92 machine. Definitely a fantastic run here tonight for him. I mean, coming from 19th all the way up to the lead. I mean, we got to give a shout-out, though, to Derek Hyman and Brandon Pastelacqua for putting on such an awesome show as well, for battling just all race long, as well as Tim Wortman Jr., who came up and almost got a podium there as well. I mean, that was a great run for him. I mean, just battling all the way, a lot of drivers battling through adversity tonight. I mean, I got to say, I don't think this race could have went any better. Joe, what do you think?
I think that even despite maybe just we didn't really have, we had one yellow for one crash, I think. Yeah. It was a lovely race. Whoa! Sorry about that. Loud thunder outside. Nature loved this race. Mother Nature was listening to this race through the window, and she said this was the most exciting ISCA race she's ever seen.
Well, I know it definitely was. It's definitely very exciting. No, that's okay, man. It sounds like you got some agreement from Thunder, apparently. But
I do.
But definitely appreciate you, though, Joe, for calling the race with me today. Hopefully we get the chance to call some more races. I mean, we're definitely going to keep you in mind for next time we need somebody to call on the ISCA for sure. I know Big Al. Big Al might be looking for another job. Not just playing.
No. I had a really good time, Brian. I'll come back anytime you need me here. You know that.
100%.
Happy to be here.
Yep, we definitely appreciate you. Want to shout out everybody that showed up to race here tonight as well. There were some drivers that were missing. We hope you come back, such as Patrick Gitter. I don't know where he was at. Matt DeCiani. I know that they still racing for points. Hopefully we'll see them next week at Richmond. But, of course, give a shout-out to Kobe Jordan, our producer, who brought all the great camera angles, all the replays. I mean, he had them all right there at his fingertips, and we were able to kind of analyze each individual crash, and definitely appreciate it. We want to shout out Kenny Powell for putting on this series. I mean, it's just so much fun to come in here and on these Thursday nights and call these races for sure. But as well, thank you to everybody that tunes in. That's the main people there. Thank you for tuning in, for liking us, for subscribing to us. Make sure you do that for sure if you're not already. That way you can kind of stay up to date whenever we do go live, which is every Thursday, 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Of course, the race next week will be going green a little bit after 9:30. We'll be at Richmond Raceway. That's the action track, or Strawberry Hill as they call it. We can't wait to see you there. My name is Brian Britt. We'll see you next time.
I found the ISCA after I'd been in the service for a long time. I'd been in iRacing for well over a decade and spent most of my time in NASCAR series, a lot of fixed racing for the most part, and really just got to a point in my iRacing career where I really wanted to get involved in open setup racing versus fixed, partially because I was just looking for a little higher level of competition, maybe a little cleaner driving, and maybe get away from some of the challenges that go along with fixed racing on the service. And it took me a while as I was really searching out leagues, because I kind of had a very specific thing I was looking for. A, I wanted to be an established league. B, I just really wanted clean, quality drivers to be racing around. And once I found the ISCA, I found out really quick that it was going to check all those boxes, and I've been with the ISCA